Hello and welcome to the O.V.G.C podcast, episode 26. This is our mid-month show. We're going to be talking about Resident Evil, the entire franchise. I am your host, as usual, Soulzane, and with me for this special episode is SilentOwl, or Sean, as you also go by, I've been told.
Yep. SilentOwl, because I'm quite the hoot.
Yes, thanks. You're our local Resident Evil expert. So we're just like our last episode when we talked about the Shin Megami Tensei series. We're going to go through and discuss the Resident Evil franchise. Hopefully, it'll be a little bit shorter than that one, but I think we can kind of compact this. It's a little easier to compartmentalize and digest. So I'm excited to kind of hear what you have to say.
That's 30 games to go through. That's 30 years of Resident Evil.
It's a long time. So I'm going to cut the music now. So it is... actually, I could probably keep some music going like I did last time, but I'll worry about that in a minute. So, Sean, tell us about Resident Evil. Give us the rundown of this this popular horror franchise, just like the the 2-second elevator pitch you got for this one.
So Resident Evil owes its initial idea behind it to a game called Alone in the Dark, one of the first survival horror games that featured tank-like controls, set in like Louisiana, playing as a character dealing with the macabre, sort of like a Cthulhu-like stuff going on in the bios of the Louisiana. And Shinji Mikami, the director behind Resident Evil series, he wanted to make something like that, and he was also a fan of a game called Sweet Home that was about teenagers exploring a haunted house. And so he wanted to combine those two elements, and he created what is known as Biohazard, but later is called Resident Evil due to some copyright issues in the US. Resident Evil is a fixed camera angle, tank controls. You're exploring a haunted house, basically. It's a house with zombies and other creatures. And it was quite a success. I know Resident Evil helped sell the PlayStation, and its sequel definitely helped sell the new DualShock 2 controller, the DualShock controllers with the PlayStation. So it's been a pretty good franchise. Lore-wise, though, Resident Evil first game kind of had a interesting but like bizarre story of a special tactics and rescue squad coming into this mansion to figure out why there are so many dead bodies showing up near this mansion. And they explore it and find that a pharmaceutical company called the Umbrella Company has been making monsters.
Perfect. I feel like that covers pretty much the entirety of what we're looking at. Like, look at the game at the time was pretty much an instant success, like a smash hit phenomenon. And you can kind of see that throughout the whole series in general, that even though they may kind of redo a lot of the mechanics and stuff they do, like the heart of what makes Resident Evil has never really strayed away from a lot of the core like puzzle solving and exploration mechanics, room designs, character storytelling, stuff like that. They all do try to, and they all continue to branch together, and that's what we're going to kind of try and discuss is the storyline and the overarching everything that encompasses Resident Evil. So I guess we should just start with Resident Evil 1 since it's up on screen, and it's pretty much where everything began, unless you have anything to say about Sweet Home or anything like that to kind of lead into.
Well, Sweet Home is kind of an RPG. It's not available in English. You could probably find ways to play it on the internet. It was on the Famicom, the Nintendo. Um, I can see how there's some similarities to it. The idea that you're trying to escape a mansion with your friends, but the it Resident Evil's not an RPG. Resident Evil is definitely an action game, so different type of gameplay, but a sort of similar premise.
I do love the mansion exploration premise. I think that's what like really draws a lot of people into the Resident Evil franchise. That you're like stuck in one location, and very much like a Metroid game, you find objects that get you into places that you haven't been in before, and you backtrack and back and forth, and that kind of creates a lot of like aha moments that I think the player can look at and go, oh yeah, I can go here now, and I can go, pick up this item now, or and just helps to kind of expand things. And I think that's like a really good draw to the game as a whole, you know. Um, which I don't think they didn't really like lose that, but I do feel like there was a time where it wasn't like as prevalent. It's like RE5 era time, where things kind of started to drift away from that a little bit, and then it all kind of came roaring back, and I think that was a good decision on their part. Um, the success of Resident Evil One, I mean, is it's kind of hard to encapsulate it all as a single game here, because there's your original, the remake that came out during the GameCube era, right? And now they're talking about remaking the first game again, right? With the new RE engine remake stuff. Is that true? Do you know much about
Yeah,
that?
that's speculated. I don't know if it's for sure in production, but it does seem that since Capcom created its RE engine, they've been remaking the original games in between making new games. In a way, I think it's they're training a next generation um, team to be able to handle the Resident Evil franchise as the franchise is 30 years old. As some of the veterans retire, you need to sort of train the younger generation on remaking games before they make a new game.
And who came up with who did you said what was it his name that came up with the Resident Evil series again? I'm sorry.
Shinji Mikami.
That's what I thought you said. Okay. And now he's still with Capcom. He's still with Capcom, or is he retired now?
I'd have to double check. I don't know if he was attached to. No, I don't think he's been attached to Resident Evil since Resident Evil 4.
Oh wow.
Um,
Okay, so it's been a minute.
he left Capcom to start his own projects, and I believe the last game he worked on was the Evil Within 1
Yep.
and 2.
Yep. That's right. Which a lot of people say are really good. Like overall, they're like really good games. I've played both of them. I don't really care for either of them per se, like compared to Resident Evil. Like I would choose RE over Evil Within. Um, but you know, you're dealing with somebody who's grew up in the industry when it was new and they were exploring all these things, and it was a lot different than compared to today, where he's probably getting a lot of input from people who go, "This is what sells. Can you make this?" And he'll go, "Well, we can try," and still keeping with the spirit of how Resident Evil develops. And I think the franchise is in good hands. um, let's pivot and talk about the story of Resident Evil One. And would you mind telling us a bit about how it begins, and then kind of go into the characters after that?
Well, I don't want to explain the whole story of the game, so I'll
That's
give
that's
you
fair.
a generalization of it. That'd take a long time to explain that many games.
we'll probably we'll
Resident
probably get it. It'll probably kind of develop as we go.
Resident Evil 1, again, you play as a special team, the STARS team, Special Tactics and Rescue Squad. And the game presents you with a choice between two characters, Chris Redfield or Jill Valentine. Jill Valentine was created as a easy mode for people playing the game, and happens to be Shinji Mikami's favorite character. And so if you play the Jill Valentine route, you'll have more puzzles and less difficult combat compared to Chris Redfield, who has more combat encounters. The story follows them searching the mansion to look for survivors of a previous team that had gone into the mansion. They're looking for Bravo Team. They're also looking for other members of Alpha Team to find out where they went. And as you explore the mansion, you uncover the secrets of the pharmaceutical company known as Umbrella has been doing some terrible experiments on humans, and they have created a T virus that creates zombies. And the T virus, or the tyrant virus, is designed to make the ultimate life form a tyrant, which you get to fight at the end as the big boss.
And that's what turns into kind of a three-phase thing we see through Resident Evil 2 and 3, correct?
The three.
Different versions of the tyrant? Oh, froze on me. Oh no. I wonder if it's me. Might have to take a second. Okay, I had a slight technical malfunction, but right when I asked about the T virus, so my recording didn't get it, even though you were able to speak still through the Discord. Oh, you froze on for Adam too. Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Okay, so I asked about the T virus tyrant for the first, second, and third game, and is it the same T virus through those game franchises, or are we talking like different variants that have come out at that point?
Okay, so
Not to jump
there are
too far ahead. I'm sorry. I just kind of throwing it out there.
the T virus is the tyrant virus. It is the original zombie making virus. It's the OG. There will be multiple other viruses that are either new strands or somehow enhanced versions of the T virus that will make other things, such as the G virus or the NE virus or any parasite, as it's retconned to, that makes a nemesis.
Got it. Okay, we'll get to that as we go. Um, all right. So you can round about then too, I suppose, into Jill and Barry and Chris and probably Wesker, right?
There are quite a few main characters that will continue to show up in the series. Jill Valentine, Chris Redfield. They are members of Alpha Team, the Stars team. They are basically like SWAT, a special police called in for more advanced situations. Why Raccoon City has them, I'm not sure. Um, but I guess as over time we find out that Raccoon City is a lot bigger, so maybe they should have more than one police department.
I guess.
West, yeah, the town grows every game.
Till
The
it's obliterated.
Yeah,
And
and
even
even then
then,
it still got
I
bigger.
was gonna say, even then it gets bigger.
Yeah, the city map, like I have the city map for Resident Evil 3, which was like the official map of Raccoon City, and that's still too small by the time you get to Resident Evil 9. It's
No.
city grew.
Wow.
Wesker is the team leader of the Stars, so he's the captain of Stars, and he is found out to be a traitor. In Resident Evil 1, he tell he's betrays the team, tells them, "Hey, I was paid by Umbrella to bring you in here and have you guys fight against these monsters for test data, so the company can sell the monsters, the zombies, and other bioweapons with this test data that hey, they beat Stars." Wesker dies at the end of Resident Evil 1. This is he officially dies. Later, they will retcon this so they can make sequels.
Right.
But yeah, he's killed by the tyrant.
So is he?
Um,
So retconned wise, is he revived because of the T virus, or is he, or is he a clone? Because they've talked about clones of him in the past.
both.
Oh
He
great.
is he is taking a special T virus that we didn't know about till later that makes him superhuman,
Mhm.
and then he is also a clone. He is part of the Wesker twins, where they cloned and made two Weskers, and one of them's female.
Which that's explained in Code Veronica, correct?
The Wesker twins is explained partially in Revelations 2.
Oh, okay. One of the games I have not played.
Uh,
Have you played all these games, Sean?
yes.
Dang.
Even I have I have played games that you can't play now.
Aw. Are you just saying that because you're elitist?
I'm saying there's no way to play Operation Raccoon City without some type of pirating technique.
Really?
I played that game when it came out on Games for Windows, and it you can't get it now. I did play Outbreak too on PS2.
Yeah, you can still play Outbreak as a single player game, but
Yeah, you can still play Outbreak.
but the AI is not very smart. You have to give it some time and hope it doesn't
But
die.
there is no way to play Operation Raccoon City. You may have bought it on Steam.
Hmm.
They shut it down, and it's single player too. There's no way to play it.
Wow. On Steam, period.
Yep, there's no way to play it.
Wow. So, after RE1 wraps up, Wesker's dead. They destroy everything they can. They survive this situation. Resident Evil 2 kicks in, right? Why does Resident Evil 2 occur and what's it about?
So Resident Evil 2 went through an interesting development. They knew they had to make a sequel. They knew they wanted to do something that was more like um, where you go from Day of the Dead, you go to Dawn of the Dead, you go from, a single location to let's go to a city location. And their first prototype, which some fans have called Resident Evil 1.5, they knew that they wanted it to be in a police station. They knew they wanted a police officer and a civilian. Um, Later, that game got scrapped and they made Resident Evil 2, and they even expanded it to go somewhat outside of a police station. And the idea was that the virus spreads to the city.
Okay.
Resident Evil 2 is the story of two new characters. Leon Kennedy, a rookie police officer. It's his first day on the force in Raccoon City.
Right?
Terrible first day. And Claire Redfield, who originally was supposed to be a character called Ezra Walker or Elsa Walker.
Okay.
And someone at Capcom's like, we need to have some way to tie this back to the first game. Can she be someone's sister? And so she was changed to Claire Redfield so that she's related to Chris Redfield.
Mm-hmm.
The sister he never talked about in the first game.
Why would you? I don't talk about my sister.
Yeah, why would you? Um, Something that's been kind of a debate between those who are fans and played the games and those who are just fans of characters and don't understand the characters. Claire Redfield is supposed to be the opposite of Chris Redfield. She is a complete, more like a pacifist compared to like Chris Redfield. She is very anti-cop, anti-military and stuff.
Okay.
And then later there's a reason why she's not incorporated a lot in later games is because she would not fit in those games while still being the sort of different from Chris.
Okay.
When we get to Resident Evil 9, I'll bring that up again because
Okay.
I really don't like how people are like, why isn't Claire in this game? how come Sherry's not talking about Claire? And now I gotta talk about Sherry. Sherry's a little girl that you find in Resident Evil 2.
Yes.
This little girl, and she's like, "My daddy's a monster and he hurts me." Well, her daddy is one of the leads, one of the head scientists of Umbrella, and he got mad when Umbrella was going to pull out of the city due to the T virus infection, and they wanted to take his work. This would be Dr. Birkins, and he was working on a mutating virus, a virus that combines with your cells and mutates you and continues to mutate you to be stronger and faster and better, and it's called the G virus.
Okay, so even after the first game, the second game introduces a new virus immediately.
Yep, it's the G virus. It is only two people get infected with it. Dr. Birkin and then Sherry Birkin gets infected with it because the G virus wants to mutate and replicate itself. That it will look for um, other other people that share genetics to try to replicate itself or mutate itself onto another person.
Okay, so essentially it got gene locked into one family line,
Yeah,
essentially.
it
And then you fight the evil Birkin, crazy Birkin dude.
you fight him multiple times because every time you take him down, he mutates some more.
And what happens to Sherry in all this by the end?
Sherry does get infected by the G virus. If you um, play Claire's route, she will develop a antidote and save Sherry. If you play Leon's route, he just leaves her with Claire as he hangs out with this new character, Ada Wong, who is a reporter, but not. She's some secret agent who keeps double crossing everyone, but apparently Leon likes her, so it's okay.
I mean, she does show up quite a bit, and we still don't really know a ton about her even at this point in the series. Like we know more than we know more than we should, but we don't know enough. Sorry, what I'm trying to say is like we know enough that it's confusing, but we don't know enough to know exactly like what her motives are entirely. Correct?
Ada Wong is apparently some type of independent contractor that you can hire to do things for you. Like if you need a spy or someone to steal something for your company from another company, you hire her. So she seems to be taking contracts for rival companies in this world where there's multiple pharmaceutical companies that are developing bioweapons for the black market.
Okay. All right. And so pretty much that kind of wraps up Resident Evil 2 then, yes?
I would say, though, I do like how Resident Evil 2 expands on the lore about the city, and that we find out that Raccoon City, why these experiments and things can happen, is because most of the city is funded by the pharmaceutical company. It's basically like if Amazon, built a town, they could probably do whatever they want in that town.
I gotcha. So it's kind of cool. So it takes everything from the mansion and it starts to branch everything out, making it a bigger deal, giving you more lore, giving us more backstory, making a bigger boogeyman out of Umbrella, which continues to happen from every game to every game. It just continues to expand. There's always somebody or something related to Umbrella that starts to make things kind of get worse and worse, or we can make everything a bigger deal or worldwide issue.
Resident Evil 2 makes everything better. I think it's one of the best sequels ever made for video games because it takes everything from the original and makes it better. It takes the two character system from the first game, and instead of making them as two separate playthroughs, it allows you to play as one character, start the second character, see the events from the other side, and have part of that playthrough affected by the actions you took as the first character.
That yeah, like picking up too much ammo or something, or leaving behind certain, or picking up too many weapons with one character over another, right? Is that a
There's a
thing?
bit of Yeah, there's a bit of item shuffling. There's a bit of if Leon gets to the police station first, he can uh, deploy some security gates to close some windows, which then when you play as Claire, you don't have to worry about zombie dogs jumping through the windows because they're closed.
Yeah, so that's such a really cool concept, and I think that's one thing that makes Resident Evil 2 like really unique in that regard. So yeah, that's high praise. I mean, it's a perfect sequel. I mean, it's very good, a very good game. I've played. I think this was my first Resident Evil that I beat myself on the PlayStation One. Um, and then after that, I kind of just started like diving into every single Resident Evil game myself. So um, I think
As I think about it, I don't think a single other Resident Evil game has allowed two different characters to have playthroughs um, back to back to each other affected by the previous playthrough. So no, I can't think of any other Resident Evil game that does that.
did Resident Evil Zero do that a little bit though, didn't it? With Billy and
Re-
Rachel, right? Rebecca.
Rebecca, Resident Evil Zero does not have two separate playthroughs. It
Right.
has both characters being played at the same time.
Right, but if one character surpasses the other, or one character will be ahead of the other one, and you could literally leave items behind for the other character to pick up.
Yes.
Which is,
Um,
it's the same concept, it's the spirit of it, but it's not done as well or as intricate as Resident Evil 2's is. Yeah, I know.
I think that's a different game. That's a gameplay mechanic, not
Okay.
a I'm thinking more narrative wise. It's interesting that two playthroughs can build off each other.
Ah, okay.
Um, Gameplay wise, I see what you're talking about with Billy and Rebecca.
Yeah. Well then, so let's move on to Resident Evil 3, because we have two narratives that work together in Resident Evil 2, right? That you can play.
Yes,
You can either start as Leon or you can start as Rebecca, and then kind of end with different endings and just kind of have the playthroughs feel different.
Leon and Claire.
And then we have Resident Evil 3, which started out as one game, and we ended up getting two games kind of out of the development process of that, correct? With Code Veronica?
No, actually, Code Veronica was supposed to be Resident Evil 3. So Capcom was looking at the Dreamcast and seeing it as a better potential for making better games. But they signed a contract with Sony that they would release numbered Resident Evil games on their console. So to honor that contract, they took something that was being played around with as a side story that reuses assets from Resident Evil 2, kind of like an expansion, and they made that Resident Evil 3. But Code Veronica really is the Resident Evil 3.
Okay, that's good. I like I like that. So then, why is Resident Evil 3 Resident Evil 3?
So Resident Evil 3 started as we already have in Resident Evil 2, we have the sister of Chris Redfield, and we even have like a fax machine that gives us little information about why Chris is not in the game. That he went off to Europe to investigate Umbrella Company's like headquarters. There's a little like document you can find in Resident Evil 2. But fans were like, "What about Jill, the other playable character from Resident Evil 1?" So they were making side content for her, and it was titled Resident Evil 2: The Last Escape. That's what it was going to be called. Ended up being called Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. While you play Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, you're going to hear Jill say a lot, "This is my final attempt. This is my last escape." Because she's saying the title of the game that it was supposed to be.
That's great.
Just funny little tidbit there.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 3 takes place before and after Resident Evil 2. It takes place 3 days before Resident Evil 2, and then takes place during Resident Evil 2, like up to the last hour of Resident Evil 2.
Okay.
In fact, it goes a little bit further because we see the destruction of Raccoon City in Resident Evil 3. Resident Evil 3 is about Jill Valentine finally deciding, boy, I need to get out of Dodge. This town is like full of zombies now, and no one listened to me. And I was like, Umbrella's bad, Umbrella's bad. Oh, you're all zombies now. Okay, whatever, I'm out. But there's this mysterious monster that is hunting down STARS members. Anyone who is with STARS, they're getting killed off by some type of monster. This monster is known as Nemesis.
Uh-huh.
It is a programmed bioweapon that Umbrella has sent to eliminate all witnesses of the mansion incident from Resident Evil 1. They want to get rid of everyone who knows about the mansion. I like Resident Evil 3 the best out of the classic games because
Okay.
while you only play it once, the way you play it can be different each time. Resident Evil 3 gives you a pretty clear objective. Get out of Raccoon City.
Uh-huh.
There is a tram car that requires different items to get it to work. You need gas. You need some jumper cables. You need a wrench for something. You need a battery, and these items are scattered around the city, and you can choose. Kind of like Legend of Zelda, where you have to collect 3 items. You can choose which items you want to get in what order, and that will sort of change what events you encounter and how your playthrough is.
Okay. Are interesting. So like depending on how you go through it gives you a different ending each time then?
Yeah, the ending will be there's like 2 different endings you can get, and that's based on the decision system it has. So sometimes you come into an event and it'll give you 2 decisions.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
and that can happen near the end too. But primarily the game has you just play through it once. But because you can collect things in different order, you can kind of experience the game differently. It's definitely a good game to speed run. As you learn the map and you play, you can kind of pick your own route and speed run the game.
Okay. That's pretty cool though. I haven't played the original Resident Evil 3 and I probably should cuz it's like a complete my experience with Resident Evil 3 in the franchise is only the remake. That's the only one I've played.
Oh, that's the worst way to experience it.
Oh
That's the
no.
worst. Resident Evil 3 remake is the worst remake that they've made so far.
Yeah, it's not great. I had fun with it, but it's definitely not great. And it doesn't look at all or feel similar to the original. So yeah, I should definitely give it a try. I've got it on my shelf. I should just pop it in and go.
I like Resident Evil 3 so much that I bought the Resident Evil 3 board game so that me and my wife could play a board game so she could experience Resident Evil 3.
That's amazing. Um, is the board game literally like the game Resident Evil 3, like all the
It
decision making
is.
and stuff?
You do. You get to make decisions. You have an ammo counter. You have limited items. Um, it's great. It's
All right. Well, cool. Um, so now Resident Evil 3 is where Nemesis comes from, right?
yes.
So we're not
He's
seeing a new virus in this
the
one, correct?
kind of. Nemesis is kind of a virus, but then later retconned into a parasite.
What?
So the yes. So
What?
we have the NE virus, which
Okay.
creates a nemesis, which is apparently like a souped up version of a tyrant, which is created by a T virus. But in the remake, it's an NE parasite um, that creates a nemesis. So like
Okay.
they found a parasite. It's like an early Las Plagas
So
or a
they
parasite.
so they discovered it though, like they didn't invent it.
It depends which game you play. Remake, they somehow discovered it. Original, they made it.
Okay. I goofed. Yeah, I goofed. Okay. So then where do we insert Code Veronica in after this then?
So, actually, Umbrellas was trying to create uh, Live Forever, and they kind of goofed and made it Undead Forever.
Ah.
But yes, yes, zombies were an attempt to live forever.
Okay.
The
Well,
founder of Umbrella, uh,
these things happen.
Spencer Oswald, or no, Oswald E. Spencer, he was an old man. He wanted to live forever, and
Okay.
he experimented with viruses to do that, and he kind of screwed up.
I see. I see. Um, before we do talk about more about, well, is that pretty much it for Code Veronica? Essentially, I mean,
I Code Veronica.
you what?
I was answering chat.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were answering chat. You restate it when you do, so I know what your people are saying.
Okay.
Because what was the
Code.
question you were answering?
Well, let me start setting up some times here, okay? So that we know like how long stuff's going. So Resident Evil takes place July 24th of 1998. Resident Evil 2 and 3, that's in September of 1998. So like, 3 months later, the town's infected. And now we're going to jump to December of 1998 is Code Veronica. So about 2 months after Resident Evil 2, Claire Redfield goes to Paris and basically eco-terrorizes an office of Umbrella. Claire is basically an eco-terrorist, but a good kind. She's against evil pharma.
Right. Hey, combat big farm anytime
So
you can.
yeah, this was released on the Dreamcast, but you can also play it on PS2 later when we got Code Veronica X, which was like the director's cut. Code Veronica is a huge lore dump of what is Umbrella and who founded it. And we get to meet the Ashford family in Code Veronica, which were a founding member of Umbrella but got messed up and basically voted off this voted off the they're not CEOs anymore. They got fired.
Okay.
And so the Ashford family, um, the survivors are this these twins, and you don't know that this they're not so okay. Code Veronica, Claire gets captured,
Uh huh.
sent to this prison island. Ashford family lives on this prison island. It's where their mansion is. You meet one of the Ashfords, and he is pretending to be his sister. He's really messed up.
Oh
He
yeah, yeah.
cross dresses, pretends to be his sister, and because he can't live with the fact that his sister's gone and she's the smart one. So he's Alexander Ashford, and
Okay.
Alexia Ashford is missing.
Mm-hmm.
So you presume that she's dead. Um, when we get to disc two of the Dreamcast, which if you play this on the PS2, there ain't no disc two, but the big cliffhanger from disc one to disc two on the Dreamcast is, oh, Alexia Ashford is alive. She just froze herself for 20 years.
Oh, of course, without telling her brother. Or did
And
she?
Alexia Ashford shows up and she has super bee mutant powers. She's a giant human bee,
Oh, okay.
and it's because that she has perfected her own version of the T virus called the T Veronica virus.
Okay.
And she also says that her family discovered the T virus and have been the ones who perfected the T virus, and that Spencer is copying their homework,
I see.
and that the Ashford family should have been the rightful rulers and heirs of the umbrella company, but they got shorted. Their homework was stolen, and Spencer took their homework and oh, you're right, Ashford or Ashcroft. I'd have
Uh,
to look that up.
uh,
I might be confusing the two because I just played a game that has an Ashford in it. So it's Ashcroft. You're right. I'm speaking to chat here. Season,
I
you're
see
right. It's
that.
Ashcroft.
Yes, Ashcroft.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. Uh, Ashford is a reporter that we'll hear about later.
Okay.
Yes, Ashcroft. They should have just had different letters, names. Like, why did they have to be so similar?
Yeah. Yeah, that is kind of annoying when they do that kind of stuff. But sometimes it's part of the storytelling, part of the swerve. They want you to think it's us related. You know what I mean?
Well, it doesn't matter now because they're all ashes.
um. Do you got much more to say about Re Veronica then here?
Code Veronica is kind of weird to talk about because I'm not sure if when this game gets remade, I feel like they're going to change a lot of lore because this game tries to do something that Resident Evil Village will do and say, "Oh, but Spencer stole his idea from someone else." So I'm not exactly sure if Code Veronica is going to be canon in this current remake timeline.
Oh,
So I
okay.
don't know if I need to talk about the story because it might just be changed, like in a couple years when Code Veronica remake comes out.
If yeah, it's supposed to be. That's another one they're working on supposedly. Yeah.
I hope they do. Code Veronica is like the last game of that tank control generation. It's like the last classic game, even though I think Resident Evil 3 does it better. So it would be nice if it gets remade, that they kind of like elaborate on the story and maybe make the Ashcrofts a little different and not make it Spencer stole my homework. Give them something else. Uh,
Did Code Veronica come out before the first live action movie? Because they did the same drop the gun and catch it to kill all the bad guys scene. I
yes.
believe that's correct. Yeah, it did come out first.
If you're talking about the Paul W.S. Anderson movie, that movie came out um, in like so Code Veronica came out before that movie. The Paul W.S. Anderson movie came out before Resident Evil 4, and then Resident Evil 4 actually puts in a reference to that movie, and then all the other games do too. After when that movie came out,
Oh, okay. Well, when we get there. All right. So after Code Veronica, Resident Evil Zero is released, right?
so after Code Veronica, Capcom went backwards. They went back, and they made what really needs to be remade, the Outbreak series.
Okay.
We have Resident Evil Outbreak, which is a multiplayer game. You can play the single player. It's a multiplayer game about survivors trying to escape Raccoon City. It takes the premise of Resident Evil 3 and it makes you kind of be one of these random people who are trying to escape Raccoon City and working together. It is also the first classic Resident Evil game to have movement and shooting at the same time, that you can move and shoot.
Oh, okay.
I know that doesn't sound crazy, like innovative, but
It
like that
does
was the
sound
first time you
crazy.
could in Resident Evil you can move and shoot.
I don't think I've ever heard such a more ludicrous statement in my life.
Take controls and you can move and shoot.
It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Why don't you just stand and shoot in one place? They have to update it. I don't get it. But here's Outbreak. I'm playing right now.
Yeah.
And you can tell it's got shinier looking graphics for a PS2 game. A little bit of an upgrade. This game came out a bit of the ways into the PlayStation's life cycle, so they had a little better handle on the development of it. Um, David the plumber, man, he's hot for a plumber.
Yeah. And then just saw Alyssa Ashford
Yeah, there's
on
Ashford.
there. No wait, no wait. I think it's the other way. I'm
Right?
bad. Okay, I think it's the Okay, I think it's the Ashfords in Code Veronica, and I think it's Alyssa Ashcroft in Outbreak.
Hold on, I'm gonna pause it at the names here. Mark, Jim.
I don't think it has her last
I don't
name.
think it does. I think it just has Alyssa. Yeah, Alyssa reporter. Yeah.
I just played Resident Evil 9 like 2.5 times. I should remember if it's Grace Ashford or Ashcroft, but I can't. I don't remember. I think it's Ashcroft.
Uh, might as well just look it up right now. It's
There's not
Ashcroft.
really.
Okay, it's
Okay, it's
Ashcroft. So
Ashcroft.
there
All
you
right,
go.
then it's the Ashford family in Code Veronica.
Code Veronica is the Ashford family. All right, good. Glad we sorted that up.
There's not really a story to talk about in Outbreak because they are separate scenarios that you play through. It's kind of like Left 4 Dead, where you play through different scenarios, and they kind of have sort of a narrative of like, oh, that last scenario didn't work. Let's try this.
Gotcha. So is Outbreak 1 and 2, are they connected? What's the deal with the fact that there's a sequel to this online made game?
Outbreak File 2 is just a bunch of other adventures that happened during Outbreak that we just didn't play.
Okay.
Because the ending of Outbreak is that they get out. Some of them get out. So if you're gonna have a file 2, you're gonna have to slip that in somewhere in Outbreak.
Okay. Okay.
And I did not think any of this was going to be canonical, but then suddenly Resident Evil 9 came out and Alyssa Ashcroft is in it. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess Outbreak happened. Or maybe, or some of it.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have Outbreak be a part of the canon because it's occurring while the city is being basically overrun by zombies. And it's just stories of vignettes of things that have been occurring at the same time. I think that's really cool and an awesome way to kind of expand more on how people were trying to survive this zombie outbreak. Like what a
Yeah.
cool concept in general. Like, I think that's brilliant.
I mean, it's nice to know that, you got Mark the cop in here, and it's like, okay, so Leon's not the only guy who can figure out how to not die. We have like another cop who might, make it.
Yeah, yeah. Did you see how Mark the cop shot things at a stance? Like he spread his legs wide out, like so he's putting himself into a full tripod position there.
Also, to answer chat, Yoko is a umbrella scientist, and she cuts her hair because she figures out like stuff's going down, and she wants to escape the city. And I believe there's an ending that she escapes with Alyssa, and that they go and testify in front of Congress that Umbrella's bad.
Perfect. And that's why Alyssa was murdered. Spoilers. All right. So after Outbreak, must come Zero, right? What else came out between then?
So after Outbreak, the GameCube came out, and Nintendo, I don't know what they did, but they're like, we got this family friendly GameCube. Let's get Resident Evil over here.
Okay. What's a
And
Before you move
they
away from
got
that? What's Deadly Silence? Is Deadly Silence a PS1 game or a PS2 game?
Deadly Science is a DS game,
Okay,
hence
so
Deadly
continue then.
Silence.
Continue then. Continue then.
Resident Evil Deadly Silence
Uh,
is a DS port of Resident Evil where you get to like fling at the zombies with your stylus because sometimes when the door opens, they're in your face, so you flick on the touchpad to slash them.
Great. is that is that canonically important, like that game at all, or is it just kind of like a side game they just did a thing with?
I enjoyed it on the DS. I thought it was a fun way to play the original Resident Evil.
Okay. All right. So Resident Evil Zero then. So I don't want to sidetrack you anymore. Get to the amazing
Okay,
Resident Evil Zero
Resident
game.
Evil Zero was in development for the N64, and they
What?
saw that they're gonna. Yes, Resident Evil Zero was a demo was shown of it, and it was only the train section. And they
Okay.
found that the N64 did not have enough memory for it, so they used the expansion pack, and that still didn't help. And they wanted it to work, and it just didn't work.
Right.
Next, the GameCube came out, and they went and remade Resident Evil on the GameCube.
Yeah.
And that remake, that's such a good remake.
Yeah.
That was like the first video game remake where people were like, "What do you call this thing? Do you call it a new game? Do you call it a remake? Do you call it RE make? Like, what do you call it?"
Whoa. I mean, it had a whole
Yeah.
new segment added to it, right? That's the one where they added the whole big monster chase segment through the mines and stuff like that, right?
So they added a subplot about Lisa Trevor, and
Okay.
then they added a plot about the architect of the mansion. So it's Spencer's mansion.
Yeah.
He has a mansion built, but
As you do.
he's such a terrible guy that he hires this well-known, famous architect, and he's like, "Hey, come to my mansion. Uh, build me this awesome mansion." And then he's like, "Okay, you built me this awesome mansion. I do not want you to build a better mansion for anyone else, so I'm going to lock you in the mansion." And then your daughter, she stumbled upon my T virus stuff, so I'm just going to infect her and experiment on her and just see what happens. And that
Just
poor family of an architect got they got messed up.
wow.
And so they added that into remake. They also added the fact that T virus zombies don't stay dead. You can kill it, and then it comes back as a crimson head, an even stronger version of a zombie.
Okay. Okay. And it's just a
After they,
mutation of the zombie, or is it?
yeah,
Okay.
it's they I'm not sure exactly sure how they explain a crimson head because they have another monster that has the same description. They say that a crimson head, when it gets it's a reintroduction of T virus into undead cells, but that's the same thing that creates a liquor. A liquor, which is a blind, long tongue, basically no skin. You just see the outsides of a human crawling around. They say that's created by reintroduction of T virus on an undead on a dead body.
Okay.
So I guess you just roll the dice. You either get a liquor or a crimson head.
I mean, one's a test tube subject, isn't it?
Yeah, crimson heads were not in the original, but it
Right.
does follow the principle of the original game where you will never have enough bullets to kill all the zombies.
Yes.
You Those original Resident Evil games were designed that zombies were a puzzle. They were not an action piece. You don't necessarily kill zombies. You weigh the option of, do I use my bullets or do I figure out a way to get around it?
Right. Right. Makes sense.
After they So when they created Resident Evil Remake, they now had a game engine that works on the GameCube. And they're like, what else can we do with this game engine that we just made? They're like, oh, we can finally make Resident Evil Zero work. And so they create Resident Evil Zero, which
Uh,
had always been a prequel to the original Resident Evil.
mm-hmm.
And it was about the story of Bravo Team, the team that showed up first and got lost, and Alpha Team had to go find them.
That,
They really expanded on the story and made it where Rebecca Chambers, a member of Bravo Team, she's the medic who sprays you in the face with a first aid spray.
mm-hmm.
I think I got one around here.
There you go.
Oh, yep, here we go. First aid spray. Um, she meets Billy Cullen, a fugitive who is kind of on the run, and they get trapped on a train that takes them to a second mansion that happens to lead them back to the original mansion later.
I mean,
Not sure if this story is canon, but it does give something for Rebecca to do, and she collects all these weapons and stuff, and then
Uh-huh.
has a Metroid moment where when you meet her in Resident Evil 1, she has no weapons. So I don't know.
So it's actually Samus's first appearance. Um, so the thing though, this one had leeches, like were the
Yes.
thing. So explain the leeches.
Okay, so we're back to the great story plot of Spencer stole my homework again. So this time we meet Marcus. Marcus is a scientist who's like, I'm gonna build parasitic leeches. I'm gonna build a way to mind control them so I can like infect leeches or possibly other animals, and then I will be their queen and I'll tell them what to do.
Okay.
And Umbrella's like, that's a cool idea. We'll steal that. And you're like, what? And they kill him. But they killed him while he was in the middle of an experiment, and his mind was attached to his leeches. So his leeches become somehow, if a bunch of leeches get together, they become a person, and they look like Marcus.
Okay. Very good. so so like did the leeches they're just gone after this, aren't they? They never make another appearance, right?
No, they never make another appearance again. There's never any mention of Marcus. We're already 3 games through, and Raccoon City's been blown apart, and there's never any talk about Marcus. I do think they're going to remake Resident Evil Zero,
Uh-huh.
and somehow they're probably going to change it to like he was playing with parasites or something.
Okay.
But I don't know if this is currently canon. I don't know if Resident Evil Zero happened. And one of the questions I have over the 30 years of these games is, where'd Billy go? Where's Billy?
Yeah, absolutely. Where is Billy?
What happened to Billy?
so yeah. So I mean, he's never brought up the leech stuff. Never is brought up again. The city is vaporized at this point. You know, in timeline wise. So we'll probably never see anything kind of come to this. So it is hard to say whether or not Zero's ever going to get any recognition again. But they've never outright said that Zero is not canon, correct?
Um, I don't think they've actually released a canonical timeline. I think it's all been fan theory.
Okay.
And because there are some games that have very fantasy like scenarios, like if you play Operation Raccoon City, you can kill Leon. And obviously that doesn't happen, or we wouldn't have RE4. So there's got to be some games that aren't canonical.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean there's a lot of games to go through, so it's kind of interesting to kind of take a look at some of this stuff, especially once we get to Resident Evil 7, and we can kind of talk about how that branches into the other games series. Um, let's take a quick break here. I have to go handle some stuff, and
All right.
we'll reconvene in like 10 minutes. Okay?
Do you need me to save your game?
Please save right
Okay.
now.
All right. Right. Right.
And we're back.
Welcome back to the world of survivor horror.
Yes. We left off with Resident Evil. Well, I guess you, the viewer who's watching this, don't have to worry about what we left off on, but the people who are here do do need to know for a quick second. We were just talking about the differences in the Japanese version of Resident Evil 1 to the English version, and the Japanese version has this amazing ending theme. Yes, very city pop. Um, so that's a little bit of a difference between the first game where we had such a huge difference, and not just the name Resident Evil to Biohazard, but you know, not this stuff, and then we had there's like even like graphical differences too in the games, which is kind of interesting. If you ever want to check it out, there is a Resident Evil like boundary break episode, but about the region differences. So you should check that out if you ever have the time. Um,
While we're still in the sort of classic era, I think it'd be best to just quickly cover the games that would come out as side stories during the original incident.
yeah, all right,
Um, so,
go for it.
so we have we already talked about Outbreak. We have the Resident Evil Survivor series that sort of takes place during this time. They are games that were designed to be used with your gun con. It was a shooter, kind of like Duck Hunt. You'd have your gun and you'd shoot at the screen. And unfortunately, in the U.S., having a gun accessory was too violent for us, so we got Resident Evil Survivor without the gun. And so you
Yes.
played on the PlayStation, and it's very hard to aim gun-like with a controller.
Okay. I imagine it's a little different.
The Survivor series is not canonical, so there's no reason to talk about the story. But Resident Evil Survivor, it'd be fun to watch the angry video game nerd play it because it is god awful to play in the English version. And I wish we would have got, the gun accessory to go with it. The Survivor series continued with Resident Evil 2, uh, not Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil Survivor 2, Code Veronica. So they remade Code Veronica as a first-person shooter with the gun. It was an arcade game in Japan, and it got released on the PS2 that you could play it. Um, and it's Code Veronica with a gun.
Amazing.
Not much to talk about. Uh, that would continue into what should be called Resident Evil Survivor 3, but instead it's called Resident Evil Dead Aim, and that's an original story uh, first-person shooter that I mean, I'm not going to talk about the story much, but it's actually a shooter on a boat till they get to an island.
Okay.
So first Resident Evil game on a boat, but won't be the last Resident Evil game on a boat.
No. Revelations fixes that.
Not just Revelations, we have Resident Evil Gaiden on the Game Boy, a Game Boy game where
No.
you play as Barry Birkin, who finds a mysterious girl on a boat who might be psychic or something,
Who knows?
and and the ending to it, Leon gets killed.
What?
So I don't think it's canonical because last I checked, Leon's okay.
Yeah.
But in Resident Evil Gaiden, it's Barry Burton and Leon working together on a boat, and the shooting is kind of like a strange sliding puzzle where when you go to shoot someone, it goes into first person view, and you got to hit the your button just right as this bar keeps spinning back and forth, and you got to hit it where it's in the middle of the bar. So I guess it's kind of like you're gambling every time you shoot something.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, not really much to talk about with Gaiden. I don't think it was a good game.
Yeah.
It was on the Game Boy, and I don't think it's canonical.
Probably not. I wonder if there's a video of it in this retrospective here.
We also have the Wii games that are first person shooters, but you can play with a friend. We have the Chronicle games. We have Umbrella Chronicles, Resident Evil 1 and 3, and 0 are part of Umbrella Chronicles. And then we have Dark Side Chronicles, which did Resident Evil 2, Code Veronica, and 4 as shooters.
Okay.
And then the last thing set in this era would be Operation Raccoon City,
Yep.
where you get to play as this umbrella special ops group that is sent in to clean up the mess of Umbrella by doing uh, basically changing the ending of different games by going in and killing Leon, taking care of Jill, and doing stuff that would not be canonical. Obviously, Jill and Leon did not get killed by 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 these new characters,
All right. All right.
and you can't play that game because it was for games for Windows, and games for Windows doesn't exist anymore,
Uh huh.
and no one patched the game to work without it. so it's unplayable. So lost to time.
Okay, okay. I mean, wasn't Operation Raccoon City released on the Xbox 360?
It was. So I guess you could play it on the 360
Okay, because I thought for sure
if
it
you can
was.
find it.
I thought for sure there was a physical copy of it too. So, but I tried it a long time ago, and when you shoot enemies in it, they do not recoil from the shot, so it doesn't feel like you're doing anything at all. It's absolutely atrocious to play. It feels bad, man.
The sad thing is that game was made by the the publishers who it was a group who worked on the SOCOM games, the SOCOM U.S. Navy SEALs series, which were like really good games on the PS2.
Uh huh.
And then they made a game in the Resident Evil universe, and I don't know, maybe they it was just interns. Wasn't really their A team there.
Yeah, for sure. What is this I see on your thing that says RE Resistance?
Ah, so RE Resistance is a multiplayer mode that came out with Resident Evil 3 Remake and then 6 months later got shut down.
Great.
RE Resistance was an asymmetrical multiplayer mode where 5 people would play. One would be the mastermind, and 4 would be the survivors. And as the mastermind, kind of like Dead by Daylight kind of gameplay,
Okay.
where one person is trying to kill everyone else,
Okay.
and the 4 survivors are trying to complete objectives and clear the map and win.
Okay.
It
Got it.
it was exciting when it came out because it was the closest thing we got to Outbreak on like modern consoles, but it was an Outbreak. And then it was nickel and dime for like the shop to give you items and crap to do things.
I see. I see. So this was them
So
in that era of trying to come up with ways to make money off of the franchise, like listening to marketing teams, not making games for gamers. This is just doing stuff for sales, like pretty much.
it it was their Ubisoft moment of
Yeah.
trying to make a multiplayer mode that would have you pay for stuff.
Hmm.
I'm glad Capcom isn't doing that anymore, but unfortunately, they did make that mistake on a few other games in the future that they had their sort of Ubisoft moment of trying to make a taking money from you multiplayer.
Got it. Got it. So, speaking of something that takes your money all the time, we should jump into Resident Evil 4 then, yeah?
Takes
Ne-
your money all the time.
Yeah, there's the GameCube version which came out first. Then they released it on the PlayStation
Oh,
2.
okay.
Then they released it on the Wii. Then they released it on Steam and PC, and then they remade the whole game.
Okay. So now we're at what would be like a soft reboot of the series. Resident Evil's kind of had like 2 soft reboots, and this is their first soft reboot where Shinji Mikami, he's developing the next Resident Evil game.
Uh huh.
And this game takes him like 5, 6 years of development to get to. And he actually scraps this game 3 times when developing it. First idea for the game was um, Leon goes to Europe, because Claire did. So might as well send Leon. Leon goes to Europe. Somehow he encounters ghosts on a blimp. That was the first prototype of the game. And the first like trailer and demo showed was Leon with his cool jacket being chased by a ghost with a hook. I don't know, maybe Candyman's dead and chasing him
All right.
on a blimp. That gets scrapped.
Is there
And
video evidence of that?
there is video evidence of that.
Oh, I gotta see it.
Later on the PS2, there'll be a horror game that comes out that has a woman on a blimp, and I think it may have maybe someone picked up the scraps there and be like, "Oh, I'll put that in my game, thank you." And now there's Haunting Ground with a girl with a dog who will end up on a blimp in that game.
All right.
The second idea for Resident Evil 4 was medieval castles. Love medieval castles. Leon, he needs to be cooler. He needs to be like doing backflips, kicking guys. Give him two guns. Have him shoot two guns at the same time. It'll be awesome. And then someone's like, "Hey, where's the survivor horror part of this?" Oh shit. I'm sorry. It's supposed to be an action. It's supposed to be survivor horror. Make this something else.
Okay.
That's Devil May Cry. They
Oh.
accidentally made Devil May Cry.
Whoops.
That true story. They accidentally made Devil May Cry. So now Devil May Cry comes out.
So now
Um,
we're also one other step away from Shin Megami Tensei, correct?
third game. They're like, okay, maybe we just don't understand modern stuff. What if like, what if it wasn't Leon? What if you're like, the virus has been here for many, many years, and it's in like feudal Japan, and there's a virus, and like people are turning into monsters and stuff.
Oh
And
yeah.
instead of guns, we use swords.
Love it.
All right, they accidentally made Onimusha.
Damn it.
Fourth time's the charm, though. We don't call this Resident Evil 4 for nothing. So the fourth time they go back to make the game, they got it. Resident Evil 4.
Mm-hmm. Biohazard 4. I love this. Yeah, it's a good story. I agree. That was
Resident
that
Evil 4 takes place in 2004,
uh-huh.
and it revolutionized gameplay by having over-the-shoulder action, and having you be able to shoot different parts of the body, and the zombies would react. Now they're not zombies in this game; they're the
Right.
Los Polargus.
Yeah.
Um, oh, there's the.
There's the
I see the
ghost and the
footage
hook.
there. That's
Yeah.
him on a blimp being chased by a ghost Candyman.
Perfect. So the Las Plagas is essentially an infection, not a viral infection, but a what'd you call it? I'm so
It's
sorry.
it's a parasite. I mean,
Parasite.
Los Polargus is Spanish for
The par.
the parasite.
Right. Right. Thank you. I've been having so much trouble with words this last year.
Yeah. So so this was a so they were really influenced by John Carpenter films. If you ever seen um The Thing, John Carpenter, that was their idea for like what they wanted to do for like a new type of uh creature that's scary. And so that's what the Los Pelargus are. And they also wanted to do something like, what if there's something older than the T virus?
Uh-huh.
And so this is a dormant parasite that they found in the ground. They just dug a hole and found an ancient parasite.
Okay. It just that's how they found it. It makes sense to me. I like that. Like that's always
And
an interesting thing.
they try to hand wave all the previous games so that you don't have to think about them by saying, "Oh, an Umbrella went bankrupt, so we don't have to deal with them anymore. They're out of
Oh
money."
yeah, yeah. And then
Yeah,
Resident Evil 5 kind of reciprocates that some too when we get to that.
yeah. Resident Evil 4 says, so you know, United States courts sued Umbrella till they were bankrupt, and now they're gone.
Right.
Welcome to a fresh, new start to the game series. Don't need to know the other stuff. Leon's hot. You're good.
I mean, hey, I mean it's true. He is.
And a lot
Handsome
of
boy.
people, Resident Evil 4 is probably their first Resident Evil, or even their first action game.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's no longer survivor horror; it's action horror.
Now, Resident Evil is not the first game to do an over-the-shoulder shooting mechanic at the time, is it? Like that?
Resident Evil 4.
Yeah. It
I
didn't
would have to check.
revolutionize shooters, but it
Either
became like the game to play. That was a shooter.
either it was the first or second, because the only other game that I think came out around that time that did a similar over the shoulder was Gears of War. So either Gears of War did it first or Resident Evil 4 did it first.
Right. That well, Gears of War did that.
Yeah.
They did definitely utilize that mechanic like with the cover shooter stuff and it
Yeah.
but that was on the Xbox 360. And we're talking GameCube era before that, like way before then. So Um, this is 2000, what, 2004. So in the that's 2000. That's after 2007. So, so this over the shoulder view is relatively new for the time, because for the most part you played shooter games first person, or you did them with tank controls. Um, that I knew of. I don't know too many that really did it any other way. You could maybe
It
say
popularized it.
yeah, popularized is the best way to look at it for sure. It's like Siphon
It's like
Filter and Tomb Raider didn't have locked in camera stuff, but it was still kind of almost over the shoulder, you know.
I do want to say something you mentioned about not Shimigami, Shinji Mikami.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention that you're like kind of wondering why he left. I think Shinji Mikami likes horror, and I think as he got older, he likes psychological horror. Hence, why the first build of Resident Evil 4 was about ghosts and stuff.
Okay.
And I think the reason why he left and didn't want to do Resident Evil 5, which is a lot more action heavy than horror, is because he probably felt that the horror was gone. It wasn't scary.
Sure.
Um, and when he went to go make Evil Within, um, you know, spoiler alert, Evil Within is a psychological horror game. And I think that's what he intended with Resident Evil 4 and going further with the series. He wanted them to still be psychological horror.
Yeah, that makes sense. I agree. I see what you're saying. And I assume Capcom, being the controller of the franchise, was like, we want to make sure this game fits in the narrative of Resident Evil. Because it wouldn't be until this game that they take things away from, they take the spotlight off of Raccoon City itself for the most part. Do you know what I mean? And we explore other aspects of the world, you know.
Actually, I think Hollywood actually influenced Capcom during those days because a year before this game came out, or maybe the same year, was the Paul W.S. Anderson
Oh,
film
that's
Resident
right.
Evil. And then thanks to that, we get a stupid laser hallway sequence in Resident Evil 4 that's taken right out of the movie.
I
Um,
think that's great though. Like, what an amazing segment.
I also think that Shinji Mikami probably lost his voice to the voice of Hollywood, and I have a feeling that as we came into other games that come out after this, they were being influenced by what does America media want.
Sure, sure. And it was a huge hit in the US. Like, it became the game to it that game became the reason you bought a GameCube, was Resident Evil 4. Um, you know, and and you can see that shooters after this point became like the influential thing in the states, where everybody was just like, what's the next big shooter, and we get Halo and Call of Duty and stuff, and there's of course other popular shooters at the time, but like those are the ones that like really come to mind when you think like shooters that just dominated the market. And I feel like Resident Evil 4 was the first one to really get that pull of an audience, the people who play shooter games. So what was just kind of like started with this, and then now we have the Call of Duty players essentially, you know what I mean? And a lot of that's kind of fading away as the generation that grew up with that is no longer like the driving factor when it comes to games, and we have more games deviating to stuff like Fortnite, or even Roblox is like a huge like like it's such a huge influential thing in the gaming sphere, whether you want it to be or not. um, but those types of things are kind of where stuff is going now, and so we don't really see big blockbuster game franchises become dominating forces the way Resident Evil 4 did. um, so that was a little
I'm also
tangent there.
I'm also noticing that in Resident Evil 4 that some of the advertising for it kind of makes it look like Leon's gonna die. Like I do know, like in the game, he gets infected with the parasite,
Hmm.
and now that I think about it, it seems like every sequel that Leon's in, they always kind of advertise like he might not make it. He's gonna die.
Uh huh. I mean, yeah, they kind of. I don't know. I feel like they were like trying to put the cart before the horse at this point, and then that never happened. And they were like, "Shoot, we can't kill Leon. He's too good. He's too popular. We don't. And people begged for him to show up in the next game to the point where it was like, actually, we were already doing that.
I I like the evolution of Leon from like he's a Boy Scout to like he's like I'm Cruz in this game, and then he will go back and then he'll be Daddy Cop at the end.
Uh huh. he's he's such a good character too. Um, like what a badass, Like they try to make Jill a badass, and stuff, and Chris a badass, but like just nobody is as like in the weeds of it and dealing with the most insane shit the way Leon is. From start to finish, Leon has been like just always in over his head, but still somehow being able to come out on top.
Jill is a badass. The original Resident Evil 3, Jill's a badass, and she's like, I love her closing line to Nemesis. You want stars? I'll give you stars.
Yeah, that's true. She is pretty. They do make her out to be pretty badass in RE3. That's true. So that's me not having the original RE3 in my background of games that I've played for the Resident Evil series. So my bad on that one.
RE3 is available on Steam for $9.99. You can also get it at GOG and support getting your PC games without, like DRM. And you can also get it on the PlayStation Network now, which is the GOG version. So support GOG.
Oh, Seasons posted a picture of the Resident Evil chainsaw GameCube gun. Or GameCube, not gun, the GameCube controller. Did you ever see the Resident Evil 4 GameCube controller?
I have seen that.
That was a pretty intense thing too. Was the chainsaw stuff? The deaths in Resident Evil 4. They really ramped stuff up.
Yeah.
And that's not to say they didn't before, because characters would explode in half in the older games.
Get your head cut off unless you have the censored version.
Yeah, insane though. I love that stuff.
So Capcom takes the wrong lesson from this game, and they go on to make Resident Evil 5, which is Biohazard in Africa, and they turn it into a co-op action shooter.
Yeah.
And I do like Resident Evil 5, but I don't think it's better than 4.
It's not. Absolutely not. Resident Evil 5 is it's a game. It's not a bad game, but it's not a great game. And it's cool. I like it, but like it's just I don't know. You're right. They took the wrong lessons from Resident Evil 4 when they made Resident Evil 5. And I believe, if I remember right, at this time, they were competing hardcore with Halo and other shooters that had the spotlight at the time. And
yeah, this is Spec Ops and Biohazard.
Right. It's more action than anything, period. And it's just not as fun to play. There are segments that are kind of feel like they kind of are callbacks to Resident Evil 4 a little bit, but Resident Evil 5 is just it kind of streamlines a lot of stuff. It gets rid of a lot of the puzzle solving stuff. There is some. There isn't a ton. It becomes more about like collecting lots of items and just fighting tons and tons and tons of guys, and it's an action game more so than it is a Resident Evil game, and it's not scary. That's a really good point, Seasons. I see you pop that up in the chat. Not really a scary game. It's not a horror game. It's just an action game with horror elements to it.
So it does ramp up the lore and does make this more of an international threat compared to how other Resident Evil games, it was always a localized threat. It was a small town. It
Right.
was a boat. It was one location. Resident Evil 5 wants to tell a Mission Impossible type story where the evil canonical bad guy is going to fire missiles at the world
Yeah.
and that we need to stop him. So and then lore wise, this is our first actual appearance of Oswald Spencer, the guy that we don't like because in all the other games, he's the head of Umbrella, and Umbrella keeps shooting scientists and creating outbreaks.
Uh
So we meet him, and it's this old guy in a wheelchair who's like, I'm going to become God. I just got to figure out the right virus.
huh. I'm working on it. Okay.
And then Wesker shows up, which I forgot to mention that he shows up in Code Veronica, because I'm not sure if that's canonical, but he shows up in Resident Evil 5, and it's like, oh, Wesker, you're supposed to be dead. He's
Yeah.
not, because he's got some super virus thing in him
Right.
that makes him dodge bullets straight from the Matrix.
Hmm.
Because the Matrix was popular, so they had to do stuff like that. And Wesker is the big bad guy now. Wesker takes over Umbrella or takes over much of the assets of Umbrella, and he's going to commit global terrorism on the world because he's a bad guy. I don't know
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
motivation really.
He's a bad guy. No, he's trying to make money. That's what he does. That's
you
why
know,
he's doing it. He sees an
I don't
opportunity and
know
he
how.
takes it.
I mean, maybe Hold the World Ransom makes money, but just hitting them all with missiles doesn't make you money.
Yeah, come on, Wesker, get a real job.
Yeah, I don't understand his motivation in 5, except he doesn't like Chris, even though he probably shouldn't like most other people too who try to
I
stop
was
him,
gonna
but
say,
specifically he doesn't like Chris.
he hates Chris.
He hates Chris.
Chris. Yeah, I remember.
I I don't know if Chris like stole his last Debbie snack from his office back in RE1 or what, but he hates him.
Uh huh. He's and I saw a meme the other day with that's a random YouTuber on here for some reason. I saw a meme the other day for Resident Evil 9 where um, somebody's voicing Wesker and he goes Leon S. Kennedy. Who's that? like yeah, like why would he know really who Leon
True.
Kennedy is? You know, like that's too funny. Um, uh,
But big lore drop is now bioterrorism is like an international thing. Like it's a problem everywhere. So
yeah,
we need our own like paramilitary organization or the BSAA, the
BSAA,
Biosecurity um, Alliance, whatever the other A is.
right? And not only
I'm
that,
just gonna
that
call it, yeah,
they're like
Alliance
a
A.
yeah, they're like a they're like a response team, right? Not a
Yeah,
for hire team. And
they're
there is a team that it becomes later on, the
oh yeah, we'll get to
FBC, right?
Revelations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
um,
that that's
government
the
control.
FBI specialized version to
Yes.
deal with bioterrorism. But yeah, the BSAA is basically like Rainbow for all you Tom Clancy fans out there. They're basically Rainbow. They respond to uh, bioterrorists around the world and take them out.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and then we also get lore drop about like, okay, Spencer's dying. Wesker's just gonna kill him, and somehow by killing that guy, you inherit Umbrella.
Makes
And
sense to
then
me.
now we have this more advanced version of the Los Pelargus, the Ouroboros, and so we have to deal with another parasite.
Yeah.
But does it matter because um, Sheva is part of the BSAA, and I really want her to show up again, but because she's left-handed, we'll never see her again.
That's too funny. Yeah, I mean, it makes design sense. But like, yeah, like what a cool character. I love Sheva, and I thought she was neat when they introduced her to it. And they just you don't hear about her. Nothing. She doesn't show up at all. And the BSAA keeps making comebacks in other games. Like they're in other games after this, And there's
Uh,
just nothing about Sheva.
yeah. The next version of the BSAA, they'll be bad guys. I think Resident Evil 10, we're gonna fight zombie BSAA or something. They're gonna be bad guys.
Uh-huh. I
I
mean,
hope Chris is still around because he'll be like in his 50s.
right, yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense why Chris keeps showing up in like the other Resident Evil games, is because he's there to handle this outbreak issue, or whatever's going on. And it's almost like they're just kind of like, now we have the main Resident Evil cast as the BSAAs, and they're just kind of being dropped into situations, you know, stuff like that. It's like, but while the rest of the stuff is progressing around them, it's kind of neat, like the direction they're going with it. I think they kind of got a bit of a rocky start with it, with this game kind of being the first one. Um, they could have done more lead up
So
to it, but
yeah. Um, so the BSAA, I think Capcom was like, this is so cool. We need to like make more stuff about the BSAA because they're so cool. So they make Resident Evil Revelations for the Nintendo 3DS,
yes.
and they make it 3D. And they give you, because like it's gonna be hard to play this game on a 3DS,
Hmm.
so they give you a Circle Pad Pro that you can put in, so you have a second analog stick to play this game.
Yes.
And that's the best way to play it. If you weren't there for Resident Evil Revelations,
Oh
because
yeah,
I
with the
got that's
yeah,
right.
I have that one with the
When the game when the game first came out, they didn't know how to spell Revelation, so the E's were A's.
yeah
It was
Revelations.
yeah, Revelations. I was there for that.
I don't think the game is that great so far.
Oh, you've been playing it?
I've been playing it. Yeah, I have it right here actually. I was playing it earlier today. Um, I'm not really enjoying it very much yet. I am interested in what's going on, but it's giving me like hardcore Resident Evil 6 vibes with how they're jerking the story all over the place.
Yep.
And that I
So,
don't like.
have you ever seen the show 24?
I have not, no. But I know what it is.
Is-
I know what it is, I know what it's
Oh,
about.
okay, because that's Resident Evil Revelations.
Oh, okay.
The they asked a guy who wrote for 24 to write their story for Resident Evil Revelations, which is why the chapters always have previously on Resident Evil Revelations, because they treat each chapter of the game like it's an episode of 24. And it's also why you swap between two different sets of characters doing stuff around the same time, because it's modeled after that 24 type style,
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
which is dumb because the game thinks it's so clever with having a twist at the end of each chapter, which are really stupid. It's like, oh, Chris isn't here because there's two boats, Jill. There's two boats.
there I'm curious to see what happens in the story and how it plays out a little bit, because Jill's trying to find Chris with some other BSAA members, but you're getting flashbacks past it. You're getting like flashbacks to stuff that happens before the prologue event that begins, and then chapter 3 and stuff like that. So, and then you kind of like are seeing this character and some other characters that show up like at their other jobs before they started this job, and so we're kind of getting, they're just kind of like, they hand you a situation and then you got to go back and piecemeal it together, so. And
You're
I hate
this is
Jessica.
aw-
That what a
yeah.
shitty character she is so far.
Yeah.
She's that girl trope where she can't exist without talking about a relationship
She is a brat.
or talking about a man. Yeah, she's a brat too.
But what about those two doofuses? You basically could call them Beavis and Butthead. Those two guys.
I haven't gotten to those dudes yet, so
Yeah, they're on the
um,
screen.
I can't wait. I mean, I'm gonna enjoy it regardless, because it plays and feels like Resident Evil 5 to me, and I think I'm gonna enjoy it just because of that, because I do like the gameplay of RE5. So, and
So
getting
um,
used to the nub kind of sucks, but I do like gyro controls on the DS, so it's actually feels like I'm shooting stuff. So, go on.
now Capcom, this is their cinema era, and
Yeah.
they thought that the BSA were so cool that they set up this fictional island nation called Terra Grigia
Yep.
that bioterrorism happened to it, and the only way to like stop the outbreak was to laser it from space,
Yeah.
and that's such a yes. This is like a plot thing. It happened, and they made CGI movies about this. Like there are multiple Resident Evil CGI movies that basically start with the events of Terra Grigia. That like that's very
Oh.
important.
Okay.
So
Cool.
I'm going to jump into the movies here. The first
Go for it.
Resident Evil movie that came out was called Degeneration, CGI movie. It had uh, Claire and Leon meet again at an airport where there's apparently a bunch of protesters talk where a senator gets off the plane and Claire's part of these protesters because she's an eco-terrorist and they're like, hey, viruses are bad, stop, viruses or something, like a senator can do anything about that.
That's right.
And then and then that airport zombies happen, and they find out like, oh, the zombies happen because there's a disgruntled umbrella employee, and then Leon goes and takes out that employee. But like that was like the first movie, and then like Infinite Darkness is a Netflix sponsored CGI series,
Okay.
and I don't even remember the plot, but it had Leon and it had like some people like dealing with an outbreak or something. But
Okay.
that happened. Damnation comes out, and Damnation is about like we got to find these weapon dealers because Resident Evil 5 talks has a character who sells bioweapons on the black market. So now there's a whole black market of people who sell bioweapons. I don't know if they keep them in their pocket or what, or how they smuggle them. But Damnation is about stopping uh, people who sell bioweapons to third world countries for wars. Got to stop them.
Uh huh. Okay.
Yep. And so yeah, there's quite a few CGI movies. They get a little better in quality over time, but those first couple ones, that was early CG.
And they're all canon. Like all of them are canon,
They are
correct?
all canon. They all happen. Even the Netflix Infinite Darkness uh, is canon. The Netflix live action Resident Evil series is not canon.
Okay.
Not the one with Wesker and his twin girls, and that's not canon.
Thank God.
Um,
Leave Wesker alone.
so these these CGI movies come out, and they basically make Claire out to be part of like some eco-friendly slash terrorist group that like will go slash the tires of people who make viruses.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they set her up so they can finally make a game, and they make Resident Evil Revelations 2, and she starts an eco-friendly group called Terra Save because um, terror shouldn't end in errorist is her slogan.
Because
Yep, Terra Save.
she's a terrorist, but I'm a terror
She-
saver. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, like this is the thing I try to point out to people who don't understand Claire. I'm like, Claire's a terrorist.
Yeah. She's like Poison Ivy in Batman.
Yeah, basically. So we got Resident Evil Revelations 2, which I don't know if it's canon, but we got
Why can't it
their
be
Terra
canon?
Save. I don't know if it is, but so the Terra Save party that they're having, because I don't know, maybe they save some beach whales or something.
Uh huh.
Um, they're they get gassed and kidnapped by and put on a prison island, and they meet the Wesker twin sister that we've never heard of, because apparently Wesker is part of a clone experiment, and there were two of them, and it was Wesker and I forget her name, but Wesker's sister.
Wesker
Um,
Jr.
yeah, and
That
so
was the
she
most
Wesker.
unenthusiastic. Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't be a Wesker Jr. They'd
I
be the
know.
same age.
I know. It was a bad
So
joke.
she Wesker invents the fear virus that you get infected with a virus, and the more scared you are, the more you mutate.
Okay.
I don't understand how that works.
Well, as soon as mutations start to show up, you start to get scared, and then it just continues from there.
Yeah. Um,
Uh, Shoot.
I guess the cure is a chill pill.
For real.
I don't. But what I don't like is Capcom. They saw how successful episodic gaming was getting with the Telltale games. So when Revelations 2 came out, they sold you chapter by chapter. You did not get the full game. You had to pay for each chapter.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah. This
Gross.
is the time when Capcom was like, what's Ubisoft doing? What's everyone else doing?
Yeah.
Bad times. And it culminates with the real stinker and the game that almost killed the franchise, Resident Evil 6.
Yes, Resident Evil 6. And I like how that one's titled The Game That Nearly Killed the Franchise. Because it did.
Oh,
Man,
it did.
it set
Resident
back the
Evil 6.
entirety of that series so hard.
So I am not sure if Resident Evil 6 happened or not because it's not often referenced by the newer games, but some references are made.
Yes.
And I just feel like the things that happen in Resident Evil 6 are pretty important, like if they happened. Resident Evil 6 is a continuation of the idea that there's international bioterrorism happening, that there's someone out there just indiscriminately attacking multiple countries and stuff. Yes, it is seasons. It is a giraffe doing the unspeakable.
Uh huh. It is.
I liked I like to call that giraffe Capcom because maybe Capcom thought they were doing that.
Capcom is the giraffe. We are the person.
Yeah,
Six. Um,
that was the
so
only way they could sell the game,
so
probably.
so I believe you and I discussed this a while ago about RE6 being canon because I didn't want it to be canon. I don't like the idea of it being canon, but there are references in Resident Evil 9 that refer to incidences that happen in this game, like the
Yes.
president
So
getting assassinated, right?
yeah, let's talk the individual stories. So Resident Evil 6 was supposed to be like this 25th or 20th anniversary of Resident Evil. It's supposed to celebrate Resident Evil. And so they thought, how better to celebrate Resident Evil than to give you three different uh, play styles. They thought they were different, but they're not. So you have three different campaigns you can play as. The inciting incident basically is the President of the United States gets up in front of Congress and says, hey, Raccoon City was destroyed by Umbrella. There, I said it, the truth. Even though I'm pretty sure that Resident Evil 4 says that the United States said that already. But anyways, Resident Evil 6, that's the inciting incident. So when the president says that, he gets zombie assassinated, where he gets hit with something that turns him into a zombie. And then Leon has to shoot him.
Right
So
after
there's
he
an
saves
attack.
his daughter from Resident Evil 4, right? A little time after
Well,
that, right?
a
he's
lot
like
of
the
so
he's
Resident Evil
like the
6 is
president.
set.
Sorry,
This would be 8 years after Resident Evil 4 because it's 2012.
right.
Resident Evil 4 was in 2004.
And Leon is basically the president's like go-to guy or something after he saves Ashley,
So
right?
um so Leon is Secret Service, but then he creates
Okay.
a new department, the DSA, which I don't know what that stands for, but
Department of
apparently it's
Secret Affairs.
oh, that makes a lot of sense. Department of whatever I want to do
Yeah.
is what it seems like. I don't know anyone else who's part of the DSA with Leon, except for occasionally he has a handler that calls him. But I've not seen. No, the DSO is what he's part of.
Oh, the DSO.
Um, the DSO. But I do not know if there are other members of the DSO or if it's just some made up organization for Leon.
Is it Sherry? Do you think Sherry?
Sherry's one of his handlers.
Okay.
Yep. Hunnigan was his handler from RE4, but she doesn't show up in. Oh, she is in 6. Yeah. So we have the story of Leon. He's like, I'm going to find out why the president was killed. And then I have this other lady who's going to follow me that we don't know anything about her, but she'll be with me because it's 2-player.
It stands for Division of Security Operations. So it's a part of security operations. Top secret U.S. government counterterrorism agency.
Okay, so he's Jack Bauer and it's CTU.
Designed to combat the bioorganic weapons, or BOWs. Yes.
I'm going to make a lot of 24 references. I'm
That's
sorry.
fine. That's fine. I get it. All right.
And then we have the story of Chris and Pierre's,
Yeah.
which starts the whole meme of like, if you're Chris's partner, you're not going to make it to the next game. I mean, Sheva didn't, but
Yeah, Pierce is gone.
yeah, you don't want to be Chris's partner
Now-
anymore. In fact, he's got a chip on his shoulder about losing partners.
Right. Now, isn't the history with Piers supposed to be he actually was like already friends with Piers at the time? Like beforehand? Like he knew him prior to the game, correct?
He recruited Pierre's from the Foreign Legion into the BSAA,
Okay.
the Army Bro club that Chris has. And so the BSA is responding to a bio outbreak in China. And they find out that Ada Wong is like infecting his men. Uh, he thinks it's Ada Wong. I mean, it looks like Ada Wong, smells like Ada Wong, and talks like Ada Wong. But it's not Ada Wong.
It can't be. That's not possible.
No, it's a clone of Ada Wong because now we have clones in the franchise.
She's with Kennedy, apparently.
And the clue is she wasn't wearing a red dress, so it wasn't the real Ada Wong because Ada only wears red.
Yeah. Yeah. No, she's never.
That's her.
Not
That's
worn.
that's the only truthful thing about her. She wears red. Everything else she says, I don't know if it's true.
It's so ridiculous. There's Piers right there.
Yep, Pierre's. So we have the story of Chris and Pierre's going to China to deal with a bio outbreak. And then we also have a story of Sherry is now an agent. Sherry from Resident Evil 2 has grown up and she's works for the FBI and they want her to go find Jake Mueller. And Jake Mueller actually should be called Jake Wesker because he's the long lost son of Wesker.
Yeah, supposedly. Well, I mean, he is, but yeah.
He is, but Capcom forgot that because he hasn't shown up anywhere else after this game.
Yeah, and
Where'd
I
Jake go?
believe I believe it's left off on a cliffhanger. What happens to him too?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Billy, Jake, and Sheva are playing cards somewhere.
I mean, they don't really, come back at all or talked about. And then Piers is also gone. So, I mean, he's probably with them as well.
we come up with a new virus. We now have the C virus. So the C virus, it's the T virus, but it has a C.
Because it's from China.
I didn't think about that.
Isn't that why they did that? Because it's in China?
I think it's in China because China likes things being in China, and you can sell more movies if it's in China, and you can sell more games if it's in China.
That makes sense.
But so the C virus turns people into zombies, like the T virus, or into other things, and they discover that Ada Wong, the clone, the Ron Wong, is doing this for some secret organization, and we don't have a name for this organization because it's secret. But and we have to take down the clone Wong, and the good Wong comes in and helps.
Just don't, as long as you take out the Wong one, right?
Yeah, and it's a terrible game.
It's so bad. I asked you to play
It
through
it
it with me a couple years ago because I couldn't, because it's co-op, which is cool.
Yep.
But I was like, I don't want to play this game on my own. I just want to get through it. I want to play it. I want to get through it. You knew how to play it and get through it. You and I, we stomped through that game in 2 days, and I was like, good, it's done. I'll never go back to it again. Um, I barely remember anything about it except for this segment where the gigantic Los Pelagus monster comes back or whatever, like the big
Oh, that's
Gigantos
right.
guys.
They throw everything in the
Yeah,
mix.
everything is
This
in
new
this.
I believe this new secret organization is going to be called the Connections. If we do consider this canon, it will be the Connections group.
Okay.
But whatever this organization is, they have samples of everything. Now, it is theorized that since most of the games from Resident Evil 2 and up have like a secret scene of Ada leaving the place with a sample of whatever the virus was at the end of that game, that apparently Ada just had like a secret stash somewhere in her bedroom, and then the clone Ada just came in and took them, and then that's why we have all these different monsters now in Resident Evil 6. Uh,
Okay.
Something like that. Something happened.
So, so after this is over with, Resident Evil basically goes on a big hiatus. The games do,
Yes.
essentially. What do we get
There's
from Resident Evil in the meantime?
we get a very we get like a multiplayer kind of an extraction shooter called Umbrella Corps, where you get to play as an Umbrella soldier and play multiplayer maps against other people, and you fight each other with zombies in the background. And the cool new feature is you get big axes that you can attack each other with.
Ah, wonderful.
It was terrible. I think you get it on Switch for $3 now. No one plays it.
Great. And then we also had Mercenaries 3D also come out before this as well for the 3DS.
Yes, the 3DS got Mercenaries 3D. I think Mercenaries 3D was almost the launch title for the 3DS.
You're correct. Actually, it is a launch title for the 3DS.
And it was just a collection of the mercenary modes that came in like Resident Evil 4 and 5, and they just, made them smaller and fit on the 3DS.
Right. Which is cool that it's got its own thing. I'm surprised they haven't made more, like a new Mercenaries only game. Which is kind of interesting in itself. But then we have other games or other shows or movies that come out in between this time.
So Vendetta and Death Island. Well, Death Island actually came out after Resident Evil 7, but it's set before Resident Evil 7. Vendetta was the next movie they made, and it was about like a Middle Eastern country was having problems with bioweapons. They really were trying to hit that sort of Call of Duty kind of players and stuff by having the BSAA be such a big thing and cater more to like Call of Duty type people. So the Vendetta was a Chris movie, and it was more about like a rainbow type unit dealing with bioweapons. And I think there was a clone in it too.
Oh, okay. And are these movies considered canon?
They are considered canon.
Okay.
They tend to more lean towards either Leon working in the States to do something, or they were pushing sort of the BSAA stories of like this is an international unit. It shows up all over the country, just happens to be Middle Eastern looking countries all the time.
Hey.
Yeah.
um, but then so um, after a while, we get Resident Evil 7 after a huge
Yes.
hiatus, a desert, an oasis in a desert of horror games at the time.
We get Resident Evil 7 about 5 years after Resident Evil 6. Um, and it is another soft reboot of the franchise. And it almost doesn't have to be called Resident Evil because
Yes.
honestly, none of it has anything to do with previous Resident Evil games. You could start with Resident Evil 7 and you'd be fine because it doesn't talk about Umbrella.
Yep.
There's some calls to it later, but it is a completely different game set in first person view, um, playing as a non-paramilitary character, as a complete stranger to the world,
Mm-hmm.
and given a very basic plot of I'm gonna go look for my wife. She's been missing, and I got a call from her that she's in Louisiana, and I'm just gonna go there and ignore all the creepy signs that I probably shouldn't continue walking into this creepy house here
Mm-hmm.
and look for my wife.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's a return to like survivor horror and removes the action and
Yeah.
generally a lot
Um,
scarier in first person view.
I was gonna say, so I don't want to use the term like reduction in what they've done with Resident Evil up to this point, but it's a coming back home of sorts. But then even then, minimizing even more of it. Like you're no longer having the tank control aspect, the weird camera angle stuff. You have a first person horror game on your hands that's just strictly like a almost by the books first person exploration game, but then you have the Resident Evil style like exploration mechanics of get this item to go unlock this door and expand the game, and then also like the virus stuff and the other things like that that like you're just like constantly going, what is happening, well, like what is really happening here, which I think is really cool to see. So yeah, it just it revived the entire franchise, and I'm glad that they called it Resident Evil. I really, really am. Instead of just doing a whole new game series, do you know what I mean? Um, and
Well,
it'd be interesting to see if this what like Shinji Mikami was like really trying to go for, somewhat. If this was like his like he'd be down for this at the time if Capcom was coming back to Resident Evil after this point, right? Like who?
maybe. Um, this is interesting because the development of this game, they very much catered to American horror. So like, they watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they watched uh Ash versus the Evil Dead or Evil Dead.
Uh
They
huh.
watched those type of movies. They went and did some photography. They developed a brand new game engine for this, the RE engine, which is still being used on many games coming out. Like Pragmata just came out, and that was built in this game engine. I mean, maybe some
Oh,
updates to it, but it's been built in this game engine.
wow. Okay.
Um, this game was such a fresh taste that people who have never heard of Resident Evil got on board. It did sort of annoy some previous fans who are used to tank controls and don't like change, that they didn't want to play this when it first came out. But the journalists, the critics, this was brand new to them. I enjoyed the simplicity of the story, but I do think that this game is too long. There's a segment at the end of this game that's on a ship, and honestly, Resident Evil has no business being on ships. Most games on ships don't like them. That segment on a ship, it it makes it into not as scary and more dealing with bullet sponge enemies, and it was
Yeah.
annoying because
It
it's like, don't
was
do this.
It was a yeah, right there. There's the ship stuff. It was
Yeah.
basically a departure from everything they built up the whole game to be, to just walk into a new, like almost essentially a different game at that point. Um, Seasons, you said who likes tank controls? I have been on record as saying I like tank controls, so it's me. I'm one of them. Uh, there's dozens of us. Uh, you should. kind of go back. I kind of want to go back to what you said about the story though being simplistic, because I heavily disagree. I really don't think it's simplistic at all. I think it's a mystery constantly shrouded with more information over and over and over again the further you go, and you're constantly asking the question of why is this happening, and even by the end of the game the answer to that question still doesn't really present itself for everything. Like you do learn more about like the virus, like not the virus but like the mutations that are going on and stuff like that, but you don't actually like understand why it's happening to Jack specifically, or how it has anything to do with the other Resident Evil games, right? Like,
Well, the first this game, yes, it doesn't draw back to the other games. There are some nods to them on the ship part, um, and the DLC for this game will try to tie it to Resident Evil lore. I mean, simplicity wise, you don't need to know anything going into this game, and that this is more like a standalone episode of, like, if you considered Resident Evil as a TV show, this would be like one episode that you could watch without having to watch previous episodes. It kind of feels like a really good like X-Files episode where like you start with a mystery, you're trying to figure it out, and then the reveal at the end is like, oh, I would have never guessed.
yeah, yeah, and I like how you feel very lost and don't understand what's happening until you finish the game, and then you're just kind of like, oh, okay. And unless you replay it a second time, a lot of the stuff and the clues and the information like doesn't make a lot of sense. And then you kind of almost feel somewhat sympathetic towards what happens to Jack and like his family and everything and all that stuff. At least a little bit. Like you can kind of understand how he got to where he was at the point where Ethan, until Ethan kills him, and and everything that goes on with his wife and all that stuff like that. So um, so how does this then move on into Resident Evil 8 exactly?
So, it's not, they don't ever call it Resident Evil 8, they call it Resident Evil Village. So at this time, they weren't using numbers, they were just giving them a title.
Mm-hmm.
Resident Evil Village, you can see that it can be called 8 because they light up the V and the I in Village,
Right.
or IL. Resident Evil
Oh,
Village is
I
basically a
apologize.
direct sequel to this.
Yeah, was there DLC for 7 that we need to talk about?
The DLC that came out for 7 was called Not a Hero, and it featured, you played as Chris,
Oh yeah.
and it again showed off the BSAA, but this time it felt like a deconstruction of the Macho Man,
Yeah.
of this sort of Call of Duty type atmosphere we had with the BSAA. Now they were in Saw-like death traps, and Chris was just witnessing his men get torn apart by these different traps and not being able to do anything.
Yeah.
And it felt like a good way of getting Chris out of that sort of macho mindset by putting him into what he fears the most, losing his team.
Yeah.
And I liked the DLC for doing that. It then talked about that there's an organization called the Connections that was trying to get samples of this mold. So now we have a name for this secret organization that could possibly be tied to the organization from Resident Evil 6. Maybe, maybe not. I hope not, because I don't like Resident Evil 6. So we have the Connections. They have a name.
Yeah.
They're collecting stuff. We still don't know exactly where the mold comes from. We know that the new type of bioweapon is now experimenting on this girl that's possibly psychic or something, and she somehow can extreak, uh, somehow the mold can form around her and it can create things.
Right.
So it's kind of treated more like creepy psychic girl deal with.
Right.
Not much answers.
I
Coming into, yeah,
so I think what's really kind of cool to take about the Not a Hero DLC is that up to this point the BSAA was essentially reacting to bio BOWs, right?
yep.
And Now, this indicates that there is an opposing group that knows about the BSAA and set them up for failure. And that's what that to me is what's going on with the Neo
Actually,
Hero stuff.
now that you brought that up, the BSAA when they show up to save Ethan in Resident Evil 7, their uniforms do not say BSAA on them. They
Right.
say Neo Umbrella on them,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's in a blue font. And so when you play Not a Hero, one of the questions that gets answered is, what is Neo Umbrella? It happens to be old Umbrella employees got together and they are working together to create antibodies and vaccines for all of the viruses that were created by Umbrella. And they're for some reason the BSAA renamed themselves to Neo Umbrella. Only in this game. They go back to BSAA the next game. But they do that to say like we're going to fix Umbrella. We're going to be a new Umbrella over the world.
I mean, it wouldn't hurt. I mean, I don't see why Chris couldn't be part of two organizations. It doesn't, you know, it they feel it feels
Maybe.
like they coincide, right? At least a little bit.
He's got a sponsor deal. He's like a NASCAR driver. He just puts I got Pepsi, Neo Umbrella. I got
I mean, he's got to make money somehow because there's no money in
we got
stopping the
brand
virus
deals, man.
outbreak
Yeah,
as a BSA agent, right?
yeah.
But
This vaccine's brought to you by Cold Red.
right. So Resident Evil 8 then comes out, and we continue
Resident
to
Evil 8,
follow Ethan Winters
Ethan Winters.
as he goes to a
Uh,
castle.
he goes to many places.
Yeah, it's a
Uh,
little all over, but
somewhere in Europe. Uh, and Ethan Winters, he continues in Village. Village takes place 4 years after Resident Evil 7 because he needs time to have a kid. So he has a kid with his wife that he found, Mia. They have a kid, and then his kid gets kidnapped. And for some reason, in the opening scene, when his kid gets taken, Chris comes in, shoots his wife,
yep.
and Ethan's like, "What are you doing, Chris?" And then Chris is like, "Not now, Ethan." Like, it's just a really weird scene.
Yeah, like he knows better, but like instead of treating
Yeah,
Ethan like an adult or a person, he just does what he's supposed to do, and he's just like, it doesn't make any
he
sense.
treats Ethan like a dog.
Yeah,
Down.
down boy. Yeah, what are you doing
Yeah.
here? Yeah.
So like the inciting incident of Village is like my wife just got shot up, my daughter got kidnapped, and
Uh,
for some reason Chris is being a jerk to me.
yeah, yeah, for real. I hope Ethan becomes. I
So
hope it turns out that Ethan has actually been Wesker the whole time, and now we know why Ethan Wesker hates Chris.
so Ethan follows the trail of his kidnapped daughter to a village somewhere in Europe. And this village, there actually are people in this village, and they worship someone called Mother Miranda. It's this woman who is a great healer that she lost her daughter to like the plague, somehow is still alive because
Uh,
the plague happened hundreds of years ago, and she's a healer to this village, and they refer to her as Mother Miranda. But there are some rules you got to follow, like you can't be out at night and stuff
mm-hmm.
because there's some like creepy things wandering around. There's werewolves.
Oh
There's
yeah.
like vampire-like things, but they're not vampires. Some dudes like building mechanical monstrosities, and then there's some fish guy that everyone hates.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like the robot masters of this village. There's four of them. You got to beat them all
Yeah.
to get to Mother Miranda.
I think it's kind of neat
And
this concept of like these different types of viruses, or not viruses, but like parallel things that are similar to the T virus that have occurred in nature that have just become these isolated incidences that have never been dealt with. Like ancient style time wise, like the Lost Pelagus, and then you know other stuff like that. You're just like, oh, these have always been here. We just nobody's just used them the way that they're trying to be used by these other organizations. You know.
so, village development, they wanted to do like European type mythology monsters. They wanted werewolves. They wanted vampires. They wanted to explain them somehow as some type of bio uh, virus type thing. It's not a virus in this game. Instead, it is fungus. It's actually a fungal growth that um, that causes this. This is a Mother Miranda, when she lost her daughter to the plague, she went and, like most umbrella scientists do, she went down a hole and found something. Because you don't go down holes. You're just going to find viruses.
Or do.
Okay, stay
I
out of
don't know. I
holes.
mean, it depends on
Yeah,
your
don't go down
profession.
holes. She went down a hole and she found this fungus. And apparently, Mother Miranda is a mother of everything because she found this fungus and then went to on a trip to Antarctica with a bunch of rich people, and she made friends with a Spencer. And Spencer's like, "You found a fungus, you say? Can you live forever?" And she's like, "Well, I've been alive since the plague." And he's
That's
like, "Oh, I got to go see this fungus."
what?
So Spencer, the future founder of Umbrella, is like, "Oh, this fungus is awesome. Can I have some?" And she's like, "No, you can't have some." And he's like, "Well, screw you. I'm gonna go find another way to live forever." And
Yeah,
then he'll go find the
and
T-virus.
that's how he founds the T virus. So he's essentially
But
copying
they
something.
stay pen pals. They write letters to each other. Um, but yeah, apparently Mother Miranda is the reason why Spencer kept looking for eternal life.
Ah, yes, and then he never found
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Spencer copied her homework this time.
Right, right. He's a madman driven to try and
Yep.
continue to live his life. I mean, he even dabbles into cloning. Like that becomes the whole point of the next game.
Now, I don't know if I should say this, but I think it's pretty cool.
Okay.
And if you haven't played Village, I guess don't listen to me right now. I will say, I'll say the phrase, spoiler alert.
Hey, oh,
Okay,
what a
stop
unique
listening to me.
phrase.
Village is the end of the Ethan Winters saga. In Village, we find out that we aren't Ethan Winters. We are a reanimated body of Ethan Winters because Ethan Winters died in the first game in the first 10 minutes. When he got punched in the face and by Jack, and Jack said, "Welcome to the family,"
Yeah.
he upped and killed.
Okay.
When the next thing we're playing is we're playing a molded version of Ethan Winters.
Oh, that's
We're playing a
right.
mold.
Yeah, that's right. They call him the
And then
mold.
in Village, Ethan is killed by Miranda, but he gets back up because Chris knows this and Mia knows this, and Chris doesn't like talking with Ethan because he knows it's not Ethan, it's a mold. He Ethan realizes he's a mold, and using his molded powers, he just puts himself back together.
Uh huh.
And that's why in those games, whenever he cuts an arm off or hurts himself, and he puts some little juice on his arm and reattaches it, it's because he's mold. Real humans can't do that. You can't just reattach an arm that gets cut off.
Right. So like,
And we also find out that Mother Miranda knew that he was molded and that he was a unique molded person because he didn't know he was molded, that she wanted to find out what happens when a human and a molded have a baby together. And that is his baby that got kidnapped, and she wanted to experiment on her. And so when you get Ethan's child back,
uh huh.
Rose, Rose is special. She's half molded, which gives her special powers, which I don't know what they do because she's not in the next game,
Right.
but she's special. And maybe we'll see her someday in the future, or she's playing cards with Billy, Jack, and Sheva in the whatever place you sit when Capcom doesn't want you anymore.
Hmm. Well, so like when Chris kills Ethan's wife in the beginning of the game,
Yeah.
that's because Ethan has essentially infected her, right? And she's
No, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't explain that part. Ethan's wife at that time is not Ethan's wife. She's already been kidnapped. It's Mother Miranda
oh, okay.
pretending to be Ethan's wife, so that she can like wait till he falls asleep and then like leave the house with Rose,
Gotcha.
his their daughter, his
Okay.
daughter.
Okay.
Yeah, because Mother Miranda can shapeshift too, because
Right.
fungus is amazing.
So she so after all that, then you have the Resident Evil 8 DLC, Shadows of Rose.
Shadows of Rose, yes. So Shadows of Rose is the furthest part of the timeline that we currently have in Resident Evil. Because Shadows of Rose takes place when Rose is a teenager, which means it would have to be in like 2036. And in the DLC, they have fungus that they took from the village, and she can interact with the fungus to revisit memories of Mother Miranda. And I don't know why she wants to do this, but I guess she just misses her dad. So she journeys through memories of Mother Miranda and gets to see her dad at the end. It doesn't really impact the lore at all,
Mm-hmm.
but since it took place, uh, and she mentioned something about um, "Don't mess with me," Chris wouldn't like that. Uh, I guess does that mean Chris? We know he's going to be alive till 2036. He's got that plot armor now
Yeah.
because he got mentioned.
Yeah. I mean,
I
it
mean, he's
makes
gonna be like
sense.
60 something by 2036. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, um, then the next game, um, which I guess now that we're doing this podcast like a month, 2 months after it came out,
Yeah.
I guess the hype has come down, so I can finally give my review
I think we can talk
with
safely
a
about
clean.
Resident Evil 9
Uh,
Requiem.
Resident Evil 9 Requiem is the best Resident Evil game that's coming out in the last 10 years.
For sure, for sure. After when we finish this, we can jump back to the remakes of 2, 3, and 4 really quick. But I don't really have a lot to say about them. But
I don't really have anything to say about those. I think I already said enough.
yeah, we did kind of talk about them a little bit as we went. But
The only remake we didn't talk about was Resident Evil 4 remake,
yeah, that's
which
true.
came out after Village. So actually, Resident Evil 4 remake was the next game that came out before Requiem.
Yeah,
And Resident Evil 4 remake, very good remake.
solid.
It is it is tough for me to decide if it's better than the original, but it's really good.
I do really
It's
like.
tough.
I love how they handled the story in 4 and how they were able to expand on it without totally changing it, but they still gave you more information, like more concrete information than they have beforehand. Like so,
The
it's good.
the good
It's
thing
solid.
about Resident Evil 4 is they broke in that new voice actor for Leon so that they could have him ready for Resident Evil 9. They're like, okay, now sound 20 years older.
Yeah. So Resident Evil 9 Requiem. We come to the end. Uh, I loved this game. I had a lot of fun playing this game. Um, you play as Grace. So this game is like a not just Grace, but also
Ashcroft.
Leon. Grace Ashcroft, the daughter of Alyssa Ashcroft, all the way back from Resident Evil Outbreak. And this game kind of does a lot of heavy lifting in terms of trying to tie in content from all the other Resident Evil games. Um, it and it's only subtle stuff that it likes to kind of throw at you. Not like a whole ham-fisted. The whole game is about all this past stuff. It's got its own contained story, characters. It's a real true sequel. Goes on to like expand on the Resident Evil franchise without just being a rehash of some old story beats at all. You know, you have the Wesker clone. You have a whole new bad guy. You have the Collection Foundation. Is that what it is? The Collective. Is that what you called it?
The
The
Connections.
Connections,
They're called the
which
Connections.
is what the Wesker guy is based off of. Not actually Wesker, but a clone of Wesker. Um, yes, and I don't know if you're ever gonna play it.
His
Seasons
name is Zeno,
Zeno. Yes, he's a
but
clone
he's
of
a real
Wesker.
zero.
Um, uh, uh, you you're seeing the ending of the game right here, pretty much. Um, you there's a whole bunch of wrap ups of things when you go back to Raccoon City. The killing the tyrant in the police department. The Plant 42 is you eliminate Plant 42 for the most part. You fight giant spiders again. If only there was a massive crocodile you could have fought. That would have been awesome too. um, all the way to the point where you go back to the old labs and you end up essentially, big spoiler if you don't want to hear this, you cure the T virus, basically, right?
All viruses, actually.
All viruses, okay, because that's what Elpis is, and
Well, Elvis is based off the Pandora mythology. So if you
explain
know
that,
about the Pandora, so you have Pandora's box.
right?
And so like when Pandora's box was open, all horror and all the diseases and plagues and stuff left. But they closed the box quickly so that hope still remained. Elpis is hope.
Yes,
So you reopen Pandora's box, and everyone, the connections, they think reopening the box, reopening Umbrella, will bring forth a newer monster, a newer virus. But no, it's the Pandora mythology.
it's the
It's
end of
hope.
Pandora. It's the hope that
Yeah, in the box,
humanity
the
can
only thing
cure it
left in the
all,
box is hope. Yeah, and
and
so that's what you. Yeah.
that's what you're racing to get at the end. Is you find out that grace is the key to accessing this Pandora's box, this hope, this Elpis,
Um.
and
Actually, she's not.
well, yeah, that's true. She really isn't, but she knows
She's not.
but but because of how she was raised, she knew the password. Right?
She guessed it based on the interviews that she watched. Um. So Spencer, in his old age, at the end, he was wrong and he knew it. So he created a cure. And people still thought Spencer was still creating viruses. So when Spencer was found to be holding an orphan girl, he thought the connections thought that there was something special about that orphan. There wasn't. Grace was just an orphan that Spencer took in out of the kindness of his heart because he just was being kind.
Right.
And so when the connections thinks there's something special about her, they're wrong. There is nothing special about her. And I think it's a great way to end the series by having someone, there's nothing special about her. So whatever she does, it's all her.
Mm-hmm.
It's all her what she does. Her decisions, her actions, it's all on her.
Yeah.
She did that herself.
Yeah, and what season says is that Spencer never got his fountain of youth. Yes, he ended up
No.
accepting his death in the end at like 92 or something like that. I think he was.
So
Like in
instead
his
of
late
getting his
90s.
fountain of youth, he figured out that it's not about him living forever. It's about the youth living. So it's about passing on.
Your legacy.
And kind of, yeah. Um, he just realized, I got to make room in the world for the next. And so he wanted to erase his legacy of pain and such by having the cure.
Mm-hmm.
Leon is suffering from his legacy. He's 40 in this game. I can relate to him, man. Sometimes your back, hurts. Your knees pop when it rains. um, Leon in this game, he he's just going and doing the things he knows. And what he knows actually won't work.
Right.
So when this young girl decides to do something different than what Leon would do, that actually saves the world.
Oh, I never saw that death scene. That was a good one. Grace
Yeah.
getting cut in half by the bulldozer. That was awesome.
And I love the fact that Capcom wasn't sure which way to develop this game. They just got done doing Resident Evil 4 remake, and they're like, people like the third person action, but people also like the first person stuff.
Yeah.
Do both.
Yeah, and they just did
Half
both.
the game's first person, half the game's third person action, different
No.
gameplay style.
I will argue that the action segment with Leon do tend to bring the game down a peg, in my opinion. I don't think it's as good as the Gray segments, um, just because it becomes so much of an actiony game that it feels too much like where Resident Evil 5 went with action at the time. And I don't like that. And it's to the point where there's so much action that the game knows that there is. So we give you a parry mechanic with your axe, and Leon can literally parry everything in the game. Everything. Literally everything can be parried. You can parry a fucking rocket being shot at you
Yep.
with it. And I think that really detracts from what the game starts you with. And to the point where I've just like it even gives you a point system, like a gaming. It gamifies it even more by giving you a point system for upgrades or buying upgrades and all this stuff. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that they did that. I don't hate it, but I do really still like this game regardless of those segments. So that was my little rant about that.
It's unfortunate that he couldn't have longer segments to like be able to like see a noticeable change with upgrades because didn't seem like there was
Yeah,
because you're already that powerful.
right.
But I understand, he's experience. So in a way, his gameplay is designed to make you see the complete difference between him and Grace, and to
Yeah.
make you more appreciate Grace's gameplay and her ingenuity.
Well, if it was to make me appreciate Grace's gameplay, I definitely did, because I did not like the I did not like the Leon segments. They just don't feel good. And then doing Grace in third person over first person just doesn't feel good
No,
either
it
to
doesn't.
me. I don't like the third person Grace segments. Ugh. I don't like it. And I don't understand why they gave you the option. I do, as like a they're trying to hit a larger market of people. They're like, oh well, there's people who aren't going to like the first person segment, so we'll just give them the option to do third person. It's like, but the game wasn't developed with that in mind. They threw it in afterwards, and it doesn't look good in a lot of places. And I just
Um,
don't
yeah.
really want to see that get added into the game for no reason.
I I played Village at launch, and then I played it again when they added the third person, and the animations were janky. But they added the third person because some people just refuse to play first person view.
Huh.
Um, Now in
That's so
Requiem,
weird.
they actually did a really good job with the animations in third person. So like you don't have to play it in third person, but you're going to miss out on some of these fun animations they added. Like if you run in third person, she'll trip and fall. And when you're carrying the child in third person,
Yeah.
she'll actually like pat her and, like adjust her weight and like try to like she's getting tired carrying a child like that, and she'll kind of like adjust her weight.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
don't see those animations in first person view. They added them just for if you're in third person. So it's nice to see that they maybe they developed a third person and then they're like, wait, this should be in first person. And then someone's like, but my animations I made. Okay, we'll toggle it, man.
Yeah. Um, but I mean, overall, it feels good to play. The story is great. It is scary. It is a scary game. It was fun to come back to this and be like, oh my god, I can't believe I got to go down that hallway, or I can't believe I got to go back that way. And, you know, it just parts where zombies feel like zombies are a threat now. Like in the beginning of the Gray segments where you're trying to deal with them and you're just like, "Oh my gosh. I have to get through these guys. I have to figure it out." It's back to the puzzles. Like zombies are the puzzle, right? And they even have their own like quips and things. Like the zombies themselves like say stuff. Like the bellhop
They're,
turning the lights off all the time. Lights out, you know,
they're
whatever.
humanized.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh my gosh, oh, I love that. Like that's zombie lore to me that I just eat that up. I love that stuff, you know. I want to
It
see how people react as they become zombies or after they've become zombies and beforehand. I love that stuff.
Doesn't it make Leon more of a kind of a dick though? Because like in Gray's section, you humanize these zombies. Like, it's not their fault they're zombies, and
Yeah.
they still retain some memory. Like, and then uh, you play Leon's section, and he's kicking the crap out of them and throwing out one-liners,
Uh huh.
and it's like, dude, those were people.
He's seen it too much. That's the problem.
I
Grace is
guess
seeing this for the
he's
first time.
yeah, yeah, Leon dehumanized the zombies. He's like, yeah, those are people now.
All right, all right. Well, let's dehumanize zombies completely and just say they aren't human anymore. So I think we can safely
Yeah,
assume that Leon is totally fine and in the right in how he's treating them. Because you can't go back once you become a zombie. Um,
unless Elpis cures you. I don't know. That would suck. Oh, I
I
guess I didn't need to kill those guys. I have the cure.
I mean, Grace could have waited to cure him and seen.
Yeah.
But um, yeah. So I mean, after the culmination of this, we have information about some DLC coming down the line for this game, which there's mostly just talking about a mercenaries mode, I believe. Um,
Two story modes and a mercenary mode.
oh, okay, very cool. That's exciting. I can't wait. I can't wait. I really want to play through this again, and I did try playing through on some harder mode stuff, but I just wasn't. I was not doing a good job. It's hard. Playing this game on hard is hard.
Yeah, I'm halfway through an insanity run on it, the highest difficulty. I did play it twice before I started insanity.
Okay. So did you get the upgrades and stuff like that you needed like after you finished?
Yeah, I've got unlimited ammo. I completed most of the achievements and had enough points for unlimited ammo for insanity run. That's probably what makes it not like something I want to finish because it's my third run and the only difference is the difficulty, but I have unlimited ammo.
Okay, okay. That probably helps a lot. um yeah. To circle back one quick time to Season's question, he says, "Do you think that Spencer's story is finally done here?" Um I do. I think they did a really good job with that. I don't see what else they could do with Spencer. I think we're going to start seeing the collective, right? No, what you call it?
The connections,
Connection. I think we're going to start
connections.
seeing more stuff happen with the connections, and we're going to kind of see how that gets wrapped up. I think, um, or if it even gets wrapped up, because obviously you don't want to just end the franchise, but I think we may see more callbacks to the other zombie stuff going on because this game was mostly about the T virus for the most part.
It's
Correct?
it's definitely about zombies, but this game is more about the events of Raccoon City, finally laying them to rest. And it has this message about memories. Like people, the zombies have memory. Blood has memory. It's
Oh
like
yeah, yeah,
if you're attached to those memories, you're weighed down. And once you've like basically gotten rid of those, you're good or something. It seemed like everyone who was trying to like revitalize Raccoon City, revitalize Umbrella, collect blood for memory, those things didn't lead to anything. It was no, just let it go.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All right.
I, on a production note, I think we're gonna get one more remake. I think we'll get a Code Veronica remake. And after that, we'll have every available asset made in the RE engine that Capcom could make an RE Outbreak remake and like make it a multiplayer game because they'll have every single asset remade in the new engine that
Mm-hmm.
was in the original RE Outbreak.
That'd be cool. I think it would be neat to have another like a retouching on Outbreak or a retelling of the Outbreak stories, or just stuff in general that's gone on like that. Um, I love so much how Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil 4 remakes all play. Like they feel good to play. Like it's just a fun mess to get into. you know. And while this game does focus on the horror stuff from 7 and 8, um and then 2 and 3 and 4 remakes all kind of focus on the action oriented side of things. I wouldn't mind a Resident Evil game that is all action again if in this engine. It's just I didn't really like how the Leon segments in this part went. Like you said, they weren't long enough to make the upgrades feel like anything. And the whole time you were in the Leon segments, for the most part, were not in the manner. It was doing a sniping segment. It was doing this wasteland exploration of Raccoon City that just wasn't that interesting to me. Like there wasn't much more to me that they were adding to Raccoon City. Like it just didn't seem like they were just adding any more to it than they already had. So, I you know I do hope we get more for sure. And I just for me I don't want this hybrid stuff again, but I don't mind it, and I won't say no if it shows up again. You know what I mean? I feel like, okay, well, that's it. I guess this is the way they're going with them. That's fine with me, as long as it doesn't go back to Resident Evil 5 or 6 kind of style stuff anymore. I don't really want those types of games. They weren't that great, but like when you think about the action stuff, like Resident Evil 6 and 5 were, there's just something that RE2 remake and RE4 do that are just it's such a different feeling. You know what I mean? And I think most of that stems from them making sure there were puzzle elements in the game that you were playing, so it still felt like a Resident Evil game. You know, the Leon segments in RE7 did not have very many puzzle elements to them, if any at all. It was mostly just platforming and
you mean
exploration. I mean, what's that? Say again.
you said 7? I was like, you mean 9?
Sorry, 9. Yeah, sorry, in 9.
It's fine.
Um,
Can't wait for Resident Evil X.
that might be it. I can't. I don't know how they're gonna do Resident Evil 10 in the logo, but I'm sure they'll
It's
figure it
it's
out.
actually it's gonna lead into Dino Crisis, and it's gonna be called Rex, REX.
Oh no, they're gonna turn. They're gonna remake it. They're gonna keep the tagline Biohazard, and the I and the O are gonna be a 10.
Oh, there you go. Even
So
though they've been using Roman numerals, but yeah.
hey, they could. So, anyways, I think that kind of wraps up everything we've had to discuss about the Resident Evil timeline and the franchise in
Favorite
general.
favorite game out of the entire franchise.
My favorite game out of the entire franchise? That's a good question because I really like 8 a
You can
lot.
only have one.
I can only pick one. Then I'll pick the
You can
RE4
only pick
remake.
one. RE4 remake?
Yeah,
Okay. Um Resident Evil 9 Requiem. I could play that over and over.
it's so good. They're all so good. Um, but yeah, yeah. I mean, it's what a stellar franchise. You know. Um, thanks everybody for joining us. I know a lot of you guys popped in, popped out, so it was good to see most of the crew while we were talking about this. Um, I hope everybody's enjoying our current games for the month and our quarterly and our bi-monthly. Um, we're gonna have our next show on the 29th, I believe. That's what I've discussed with SD Convoy. If he wants to re-chime in, the 29th is good. For him still, just let me know. I will message you if you're not listening to this right now. But I am after what's today? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. By Thursday, actually, we could probably start suggestions as good as we could start opening up suggestions by tomorrow. So I'll make a post tonight, and we'll get game suggestions going for our next bi-monthly and our next monthly game. And yeah, I can't wait to see you guys next week as we talk about those. And thank you so much, Silent Owl, for joining us, for doing this, Sean. Really appreciate it. I think we need to do Metal Gear Solid next, for sure. If we get a wild hair about it, I think that would be a good one to do.
Metal Gear's solid, man. It's an unfinished series, but yeah.
True, but it's so good, and I think we've both played pretty much all the games in the series. I don't think I have not beaten two or Ghost Babel yet, and I have not tried Delta just because it's Metal Gear Solid 3 again. So,
Oh, I played Delta.
but
Ghost Babel, I really like that, and I've done the Acids.
oh, okay, I forgot about those games. Oh, we can talk about it next time. So thank you everybody for coming. You guys have a good day, and we'll talk to you later. Peace.
Out.